was friendly talking shit, but it's all respect because like for you to get up there and to mix the shit that you did for the crowd, bro, it's nothing but respect.
What's up? What's up? What's up, motherfuckers? Welcome to The Flavor. I am DJ Ozzy, and just get through the cool kid YouTube shenanigans. Click the like button, click that subby button. Only click it once though. If you click it twice, it does no good for anybody. And it's weird because I'm streaming while it's daylight. I'm usually the late night guy. So if you enjoy good music, I usually spend 8 days a week. I know there's only 7. But no, this is gonna be fun. I haven't done a back and forth with anybody on the show in quite a while, so this will be fun. And Brady Goodwin is with us, everybody.
Yizzo.
So Brady's been on the channel previously. He hung out with Jen and I when we were doing the Chopping It Up segment on the channel. But welcome back, man. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Glad to be here. It's been too long.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So obviously everybody can see the thumbnail is very, very plain and simple. So like Lecrae says at the beginning of his, unless you've been living under a rock, you've at least heard of the diss back and forth, the beef with Kendrick Lamar, the Boogeyman, and Draker, is now we call him here the Drizzler. And there's going to be the hip hop element of it, and then the Christian spiritualization of said diss tracks. So Brady, before we get started, for the ones that are follow this channel and maybe are just now seeing you or hearing you for the first time, tell them about you, your channel, what you got going on, all that.
Cool. What's happening, y'all? I operate a channel on YouTube called Ichabod, Ichapod, a play on words from a name in the Bible called Ichabod, where somebody was called Ichabod, which means the glory has departed. So me and my squad said we're going to call our podcast Ichabod because we kind of feel like the glory has departed from the former faith that we once held. But yeah, I am from the hip hop world. I was a rapper for most of my life, a Christian rapper at that, and sort of helped to start the countercultural movement known as Christian hip hop. So even the camp that Lecrae comes out of, my group actually sort of introduced him to the wider world back when he was local in his Texas community. Anyway, yeah, so I came out of the Christian faith about officially about 3.5 years ago, but I've been sort of deconstructing and deconverting for the last 9 years. And so yeah, that's who I be, and that's yeah. Now you're all caught up.
Yeah, and I'll keep it Kevin Hart, but just a little my backstory with Brady. Shout out Dr. Josh. That's my homie. He he texted me one day and he was like, "Hey man, are you familiar with the name Fanatic?" And I was like, "Yeah." But Brady was when he was part of that Christian group. That was so I had created a Christian hip hop group, and Brady that group they were very influential in what we did. And I was like, no, he's like one of, if not my favorite Christian hip hop artist. At the time, it was on who just put out the most recent work. I went back and forth between Brady and Emmanuel Lambert, but the truth. And it was back and forth
Wow.
between those two. And then he was like, "Well, here, let me hit you with this link." And it was
my deconversion video.
Yeah. I remember my jaw was on the floor.
Yeah.
I was like, "Is this real life? Is this real life right now?" And so then we got connected, and so since then we've stayed in touch. But yeah, it was that, and even that interview, the first one we did with you, I was like, "This is so weird."
Well, thank you too, man, for being a great friend of my channel, because you actually were hooking us up with, we just needed intro music and stuff. You were just like, yo, whatever y'all need, I got y'all. So yeah, thank you, man, for being there to help receive. If I was anything like a soft place to land when you were in the Christian faith and you saw my group, I'm like, oh man, they're helping me. Well, you were a soft place to land when I came out of the faith and into the realm of skepticism and agnosticism and atheism. And so yeah, appreciate you, man.
All love, man. All love. All day. And still, you ever need those mashups and mixes, highlight your boy. So we'll bring this up on screen here and we'll get into the video. But real quick, what's up, everybody in the chat? Thanks for hanging out. If you're new here, I am DJ Ozzy. We do this every, well, I do music reviews and then I mix all the times. But this one was unique with Lecrae being involved. And as soon as I saw it, I was maybe 4 or 5 minutes. I was like, man, I'm hitting Brady up. We got to do this one together. So without further ado, let's get at it.
Unless you were under a rock or you were not paying attention to anything on social media, you know about the Drake and Kendrick battle that ensued. And also, you got to throw J. Cole in there as well. There's a lot of characters you could throw in there, of course, but for all intents and purposes, I'll talk about Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick. And this is not just a conversation about them. It's a conversation about us. It's a conversation about what we believe and think and who we are internally. Because I feel like what happened with them is a picture of a lot of things in society. But for those people who are unaware, behind the scenes, there's been some kind of back and forth for years between Drake and Kendrick. And there's been like undercover jabs in music over a period of time, but it got a lot more overt when Kendrick put out a song with Metro called Like That, and basically he just took a bunch of shots that were clearly at Drake, and he, one that would seem like it was saying, J. Cole, if you want to smoke, I got it for you as well. The response was initially from J. Cole, who wrote a song called 7 Minute Drill, where he went at Kendrick. He later said he felt terrible for it. And
just so, like, for those that have been subscribers here to the channel, you know, like, I eat, breathe, and live this shit. Like, I love it. I love obviously the musical part of it as a DJ. I love the production, but like breaking down the bars and the doubles and the triples and all, so that, like, I love that shit. This beef goes back a lot further than now the one he just mentioned where K Dot was with Metro. And Future, because this goes back years ago when Drake did Kendrick dirty because he wanted Kendrick to sign to OVO and Kendrick wasn't feeling it. So it kind of started there. But what really what really fucked up Drake, because we all know Drake, if you're familiar, he gets in his fifis real quick. Like he gets in them fifis like fast. Well, Kendrick on Control, which was a feature verse, it was one verse, and towards the end of the verse, like he names anybody that you could consider like top 10, like and he was like, I got love for y'all, but I'm here to kill y'all. And what that was is him saying,
and he called everybody on that list. He said, my friends.
Yes.
And then he starts naming all these people, and Drake is in that list.
Yep. Yeah. And that was clearly, if you're not familiar with, the diss and beef part of hip hop, it's supposed to be a lyrical exercise sparring match, and
it's a sport.
Keep it on wax, and it's a contact sport, lyrically. And and if you're so quick to get in your fifis like Drake is, this is what happens. So he drops that verse. Everybody else that K Dot named, they're like, no, we get it. He's saying, I'm the man, and I'm raising the bar. Come get me. Come get me. Well, Drake, because he's a little sensitive guy, he's like, he's making fun of me. He don't like me. And that's what, it even goes to what K Dot said at the end of Not Like Us. He was like, are we friends? Are we live? Because he wants everybody to like him, and all that. So I just wanted to make sure for the backdrop of this, it goes way back further than just the last 6 months. Like it goes way, way further back. So I just wanted to give the proper backstory there.
Couldn't sleep. He apologized, took the song down, and stepped away from the battle. And then from there, Drake and Kendrick began to trade shots in terms of songs. It was kind of like Drake would release a song, then a couple weeks later, Kendrick, and then Drake, and then Kendrick right back at it. And it went back and forth until what I believe is Drake kind of said, all right, I'm done with this. Now, depending on how you view it, some people would say the battle was won by Kendrick. But the bigger question is, what is the battle? Like, is it a battle of who's the best lyricist, who's the most popular, who can rap the best? Like, what is the battle? And I think that is.
So I want to pause it there. So this is strictly on hip hop. Brady, get your opinion first. When you think historically in hip hop, when you think these, especially on wax, I'm not talking about freestyle battles. These on wax, pre-written diss tracks. Are you paying attention for like bars and doubles and all that, or are you listening for the snaps where it's like, ooh?
Because of the kind of rapper I was, I'm more listening to bars. I'm more listening for punchlines. I'm listening for the things that I check. There was a whole back when Lupe Fiasco and Royce the 5'9" and when those guys were going back and forth, and you had RJ Payne and all these guys talking about what are the boxes? Are you checking these boxes as a lyricist? I listen for that. And even if somebody is digging into somebody like with embarrassing, bars and stuff like that, I'm still like, nah, who had the better lyrics? That's the kind of person that I was. So I'm probably not everybody's battle rap fan.
Well, and I have a similar approach because again, I want to hear, especially it's pre-written, right? So again, I have a completely different outlook or perspective when somebody's just going off the top,
right?
Because you don't have time to check and double check your work. Yeah. But when you go in and you're getting in the studio and you got pen to pad, you better be giving them slaps and we better be able to break down some doubles and some triples while we're doing it. So because I hear some people like there's a couple like hip hop reaction channels that I follow, and the one guy I thought made a lot of fair points, but he was like, when has diss and beef tracks ever been about the best bars, and he started bringing up like hit 'em up, no Vaseline, going back. And well, no, those were not. Those were intentionally not like like rap.
Right.
Like they were trying to 100% disrespect each other.
Mhm.
You know, so I think you have to have also in context who you have spitting and who you have sitting down, because if you really, you know, expected, I'm trying to think of an example now, but like Ice Cube, like he's a legend, right?
Mhm.
But if he were to go, you know, if he was still relevant in rapping now, like he's not fucking with K Dot. Let's just keep it 100, like bar for bar.
Mhm.
It's not going to happen. So you also have to keep in mind who's involved in the game. So that's why I wanted to get your opinion on that.
Okay.
Is also a question we got to ask ourselves, right? Because there's a lot of people who are team Drake because I think they see themselves in Drake, right? They value what he values. There's a lot of people that are team Kendrick because they see themselves in Kendrick and they value what he values. But more than anything, I think so many of us are just people who are spectators. And behind the scenes, there's real lives and real challenges and real problems taking place. And there's real consequences. And we're bloodthirsty and we want to see a lot of this ensue because it's entertainment for us, kind of like the gladiator games. And because there's no real consequences for us, we're not really invested in seeing this land in a healthy way. We actually want to see more jabs and more salacious stories and how intense this can get. You know, and I'm not speaking for everybody, but I'm speaking for certain people. I think for me, it hits a little different. One, because I'm a rapper, right? Obviously. I grew up in the culture of hip hop. I actually know two of the artists personally. One of them I know decently well. And I love the Lord. So there's a lot of tension even in my own soul about all of this, right? I think first and foremost, let me just tell you this, okay? I know Kendrick Lamar. I've known Kendrick since probably, maybe 2009, before he was the Kendrick that we all know. You know, when I first met Kendrick, I had more followers on Twitter than he had, you know what I mean? And he put out this song called The Faith. And when he dropped the song, I reached out to him because I was like, wow, I was intrigued by his open wrestle with his faith. And we just began talking, and then we started texting and talking on the phone and just kind of built a relationship that just over the years, it's been like a very I haven't really detailed a lot of it because for me.
All right, so I have this timestamp. I told Brady we were backstage. Like, cool, you know him, and he's going to go through how he met in J. Cole. We're going to skip through all that because it's not really relevant to
his point here is simply it's personal for him. Like, these are not just, you know, icons and idols and artists. Let them diss each other and I'm not affected. I know these people, and it's hard to watch people that you know hurt each other. That's sort of the point he's getting at there, which is okay.
Yep. Yeah. And absolutely. But for obviously the conversation that Brady and I are wanting to have about it, you know, about the actual music, and then what I think is an attempt to spiritualize or Christianize a rap battle, which is silly sounding to me, but it talk about that as well. So we're gonna move forward to he's finishing up his timeline here, meeting them, and then he's gonna start talking about the actual rap battles.
Okay.
So when you see this war of worlds happening, from my vantage point, what I see is more a battle of values, right? Like, you have Drake who's probably saying this is a battle for who's the best, and best meaning biggest, most popular, most money, most celebrated, right? And Kendrick is saying, no, this is a battle for who's the better lyricist, who's more transformative in the culture, who's more, you know, influential in terms of like a Tupac or a Nas was in terms of the culture and hip hop. And I think J. Cole leans more toward the same side as Kendrick does, but he's caught in between these two friendships and worlds. And he bows out. Now, if you come from the era I come from, y'all, where I saw all these great battles happen, and I'm a student of hip hop. I studied the battles before my time with KRS-One.
So before he goes down the kind of the history of hip hop here, so your thoughts on, because I do not, and I have never considered Drake to be a rapper. I consider him to be a pop star that raps. What is your, what would be your take on that?
I can't take rapper away from him. I mean, he's spit some incredibly impressive bars, and I sort of separate between, you know, I don't know to what degree he's writing the stuff that he's rapping. I'm one of those people who, if you don't write your stuff, that takes something away from you.
Boom.
But I have to give him credit for his ability to spit the stuff that people write. He's a great deliverer of other people's raps, if he's not a great rapper himself. You know, so you think about his mixtapes, you know, the summertime mixtapes and all that. Dear Summer. I don't want to take too much away from him, though I do think he loses points if he's not writing his own stuff. I'm not saying, you know, for me, you don't have to be in the streets. You don't have to be, you know, hood to be a rapper. I give him that credit just for his skill and ability. He would get more of that from me if he was actually penning the stuff himself.
Totally agreed. And Crystal asked in the chat, does he have a ghostwriter? Yes,
Several.
You can go check like the credits on his album, and you know, you'll see the some of them that he's wrote, and it just says, you know, Aubrey Graham, but then there's other ones that's Aubrey Graham and 2 or 3 other people you know, listed on there. So definitely ghostwriters, and I think that's why and I make that bold of a claim or whatever, as far as that I think he's a pop artist that raps. Again, I agree. Great deliverer of you know, the things that are written for him, but he I don't want to say he's at where K Dot, he's a rapper. He's a Pulitzer Prize winner. Like when he starts, this is a wordsmith, right? And you're not gonna find ghostwriters on his credits. You know, so when we're talking about, you know, he being the Drizzler, Drake, says, you know, I am the best. Well, you can't make the claim to be the best if you're not writing it. You can't make that claim.
Well, I think that goes to Lecrae's point, though, because then best of what? In what's the song? First Person Shooter with J. Cole. Drake says, "I love a dinner with these fine women debating about who's the GOAT." Right. And he's like, "Go ahead, discuss it. Talk about who's the GOAT. Who's the GOAT?" Because in his eyes, it doesn't take being a rapper to be the GOAT. And I think Lecrae is right on that point. If it's just who's the biggest star, who's the most influential, who can put out a hit and have it, he was trying to make the case that he's that guy. You know what I mean? He's the icon. He's the biggest draw. He's the biggest name.
Right. Yeah. As far as like records sold, you know, all that streams, which now K Dot is catching up, passing him. But then yes, that's a non thing. You like, you don't know, you don't know, you don't even listen to current hip hop if you can't acknowledge that. And I think I was kind of throwing this around in my head before we went live. I think making that comparison that Drake is the best just on sheer sales, because you know the pop and the appeal and the sing-songy, you know, stuff, as that'd be like so all time Shaquille O'Neal has a better shooting percentage than Steph Curry. Does that mean he's a better shooter than Steph Curry? No. If you ever watch Shaq shoot a free throw, you know better.
Right.
So you know, I was trying to draw a comparison, you know, with that. That's I think that's something is the context. Like, okay, album sold, but if we're talking about hip hop and lyricism, and again the rapper, yeah, I don't even think they're in the same conversation personally.
Yeah.
and Roxanne Shante, The Bridge Is Over, and MC Shan, all the way to Tupac and Biggie's and Dr. Dre and Eazy-E. Like, I've seen so many iterations and eras. I mean, little things like Bone Thugs and Harmony and 666 Mafia. Like, I was around for so many of these like hip hop battles that there's a texture that you become that becomes the norm. And so in hip hop culture, you don't apologize and bow out of a battle. That is culturally a no-no. It's like if you're a street dude, you're not supposed to snitch. So for J. Cole to bow out is like, dang, bro, you let Nas down again. Right. So
that was a great reference.
I think that's the general perspective of those people who love hip hop. And then it's also like J. Cole raps about how he's the best lyricist and how he's dope and no one wants to test him. So how can I ever really take you seriously if you bowed out of this battle?
We'll give your thoughts on that, and I'll give a little of the information that I've found out after the fact.
Okay. Yeah, I was torn because I work with young people. I work with young people almost all my life. In the vein of hip hop and trying to get people to be more conscious about what the culture needs. And I remember very many times myself wanting more from people like J. Cole, wanting him to not be there's a very thin line between battle rappers and conscious rappers. Most conscious rappers have battle rap in their background. You think about people like Common, think about, Talib Kweli. And so it doesn't take much for a conscious rapper to get in his battle rap bag. But at some point there comes this graduation, right? And I've always wanted a graduation for J. Cole to go from battle and braggadocio to conscious, at least more conscious. When he got involved in this back and forth beef with these guys, I was like, dag, okay, all right, cool. Because you've been like Lecrae said, you've been screaming that forever. You go around the industry hopping on tracks with people saying nobody wanted with you. Okay, so this is now you get a chance to really do it. When J. Cole dropped 7 Minute Drill and the whole project might delete later, I was one of the first person to jump online like, yo, Cole, and I gave him like a championship. Like, yo, Cole wins, right? When he apologized, I went right back online. I was like, yo, you know what? On second thought, I appreciate the apology because I'm like, no, I'm not bullshitting. Like, there's always been a part of me that wanted Cole to graduate from the battle rap to consciousness. And so I was like, is this going to do it for him? Because I love Let Nas Down. You've never seen that before in hip hop where a dude finds out his idol hates his song, makes a song to him, and then the idol jumps on the remix like, yo, no, it's all good. I love that. In a class that I teach on hip hop, I'm like, yo, we need more of this. So I thought Cole's apology, as odd and awkward as it was, I said, this could actually be great for hip hop. But like Lecrae said, I was torn. Like, you can't go back to I'm the best after this.
No.
Because even though he didn't apologize for saying he's the best, like I think people get it twisted. What Cole apologized for was saying shit about Kendrick that he knew was not true. Like, your albums are whack, don't nobody rock with you. That he said that's the stuff I don't like that. Right. I'll listen to his music. I think he's great. Like, and I think he realized he put his foot in his mouth, and I think he just put himself in a weird place. And I don't know how he comes back from that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. You definitely can't jump on tracks anymore, getting all gassed up.
Right.
You just can't, and you can't be pounding your chest, because as soon as the smoke was offered, you dipped. Right now, I want to say I've not been able to find anything to confirm this yet. And if you don't know, if you're first time watching the channel, I'm skeptical of everything, so I don't take anything at face value. So, but I'm telling you just what I've been hearing from a lot of the things that I watch people that and listen to that have more inside information. And what they've been hearing, what I've been hearing is K. Dot and his crew had a conversation with Cole and was like, look, bro, this shit is going to go south. And when we say south, Kendrick's about to get in that ass, and you may not want to be involved in that. In what direction this is getting ready to go, because it's going to get ugly. And and that's when Cole was like, yeah, you're right, I'm not on all that. And if that's the case, like I said, I can't confirm it, but if that is the case, then I will give Cole a pass, because that's him saying, you know, for myself, my own integrity, and how I approach this, no, I don't, that's y'all shit, and I don't want to be tangled up in all that. So if that's the case, then I'll give him a pass. If that's not the case, then not only can he not go back to that, but he's going to catch strays in everybody's on everybody's tracks. He's going to catch them stray shots. Like don't.
Yeah, he's going to become a byword. Like people are going to use him as an example of what not to be or do at all. Don't J. Cole on us. Yeah. He's going to become one of those. But it's weird because, like I said, I think hip hop needs. I would love for him to have his own reasons. I hope what you're saying is not true, only because I would love for him to have his own reasons, have a conscience to say, you know what? I don't want to stand on that. I said some shit. I'm not really there. I would love for the culture to have that example and say, you could do that. You could apologize and still be a man in this culture, still be an artist in this culture. You probably still can't go around talking about you're the best and nobody wanted with you, but you can do that. I don't know, man. You told me, I didn't know he just dropped another track a couple of days ago. I got to go check it out to see what he's saying, because I hate when like the conscious rappers that I grew up on, all of them had a metaphysical worldview. That's what fueled their consciousness. I came into the game as a Christian rapper. My metaphysical worldview fueled my consciousness. One of the things I've been interested in the last few years with my deconversion is, can you be a conscious rapper without having a metaphysical worldview? And look, the part that we skipped over, Lecrae talked about, he asked J. Cole when they first met, are you a Christian? Because you be sounding kind of metaphorical, metaphysically, like, are you a Christian? And Cole said, I'm familiar with it, but I'm not. And so I could see, as we get into the spiritual side of this will come out more, but I would love for a dude like Cole to find himself looking for a basis for his consciousness, even without having to have the metaphysical, I'm going to get it from this religion or that religion. That's going to come up in a second. So I'm going to save my comments for that.
Yep. And as far as what you said is, as far as him, bowing out or whatever, and it be for his own reasons, and we as listeners, observers, whatever, I could not agree with you more on that. He should be able to do it for his own reasons. Now, when we start talking about the sport of hip hop, and this, again, I so in line with it, because it's okay. You took it on the chest, right? You took it on the chin, but now you have to change how you approach this. I'm the best thing, right? You can't make that claim anymore.
You got to be super creative to come back still talking that, and we listen to you like nobody's trying to hear it.
Yeah, I was telling Brady before we went live. Cole just dropped a new one. It was a day or two ago, and I can't remember what did you say the name was?
Grippy. Yeah,
Grippy. And if you've not heard it, I was telling Brady it is the biggest dumpster can, trash can track that I've ever heard from Cole. And I am not a Cole fan. Like there's tons of Cole's shit that I love, but this one, Drake done mess with this guy's with his head.
Here's what I would hate, and this is kind of a spoiler alert where this is going to go, because I do think there's something that when you get involved in a rap beef like this, and it starts making you question how you're moving and what's next for you. I would hate for any of those dudes to hear what Lecrae is saying here and think, damn, maybe he's right. Maybe I do need to give his God a try. Because if Cole gets to the point where he realized, man, if I can't talk about being better than people, what am I going to talk about? Right. Now starts thinking, well, maybe I do need to give God a try. Maybe I do need to. I think that's the most horrible lesson he could learn from this experience.
Yeah, yeah, you like you said, that's going to be a perfect segue as we get into the spiritualization part of this.
As a hip hop fan and a hip hop aficionado, that does not make sense. However, as a healed man, as a man who's seeking to be an apprentice and follower of Jesus, I actually think that was very wise.
Stop it for a second. Like I said, for years now, I've always wanted more consciousness from Cole. I stopped believing the Christian faith somewhere between 2014 and 2019. My faith was crumbling slowly but surely. Here I am in 2024, and I still think consciousness is a better route for somebody as talented as Cole, because the battle rapper, you as a career, you can't really do much with that.
Right.
But it's very interesting to me that what Lecrae is saying here, that it's the Jesus in him that is helping him to appreciate Cole's apology. You don't have to be a Christian to appreciate somebody wanting more for themselves than beef as a rapper. And so I just want that to be clear. What Lecrae is saying, if that's Jesus, is why he appreciates Cole's apology, but you don't need Jesus to appreciate things like that. And I'll say more in a second.
Absolutely.
Very respectable for him to say, you know what, this isn't right. And not because I'm afraid of the smoke, right? Because I think that's what the spectators and the fans are seeing, like, oh, he's afraid of getting washed lyrically. He's saying, no, there's real implications behind this. There's real tension, real hatred brewing. And I don't really want to be a part of that. I don't know, outside of like maybe some of the old school New York hip hop battles where it wasn't real beef. This is not like two boxers or UFC fighters getting in the ring and they respect each other. This is not like two big athletes getting on the court or the field and they respect each other and they're going to go to war and then it's all over with, it's said and done. This is more along the lines of real hatred. Like, I mean, Kendrick said it. I hate.
Okay, I'm going to roll back real quick because I have a separate video I'm gonna pull up here because now I'm saying this tongue in cheek, but Lecrae, I'm gonna have to pull your hip hop aficionado card.
Oh, I know where you're going with this one. BMX, right?
Yep. I'm gonna have to pull your hip hop aficionado card, bro.
I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. Like, this isn't right. And not because I'm afraid of the smoke, right? Because I think that's what the spectators and the fans are seeing, like, oh, he's afraid of getting washed lyrically. He's saying, no, there's real implications behind this. There's real tension, real hatred brewing. And I don't really want to be a part of that. I don't know, outside of like maybe some of the old school New York hip hop battles where it wasn't real beef. This is not like two boxers or UFC fighters getting in the ring and they respect each other. This is not like two big athletes getting on the court or the field and they respect each other and they're going to go to war and then it's all over with, it's said and done. This is more along the lines of real hatred. Like, I mean, Kendrick said it. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. Like, and so.
All right. So as I'm pulling this other video up here, this one, to your average everyday, like just music / hip hop listener, like a lot of it's probably, it's like, it's cool. They're going back and forth. Right. So you don't get the possible ramifications and fallout that could happen. Right. And unfortunately we've seen it too many times where they, motherfuckers can't keep it on wax, which that's what is intended to happen. So some people, why is, it can't be that serious, but it is, or it can be, right? So it's, that's why the full contact sport thing I was talking about earlier, if you can't handle it, do not jump into that ring. All right. So now what I was talking about with Lecrae, like I said, part of it's being facetious and tongue in cheek, but pulling the hip hop aficionado card. When Kendrick was talking about that, this was a a shout out to DMX, RIP, one of my favorites all time. This was, I think, when I looked at it 12 years ago, 13 years ago, something like that, that this went down on Power 105. Let's see how DMX feels about the Drizzler.
Everything you said about Wayne is exactly everything you just said about Ross is what I think about Wayne.
Yeah.
I think all he talks about is smoking weed and a whole bunch of nothing.
I said we cool.
What about Drake? You like Drake?
No.
He was so quick. No.
Wow.
Even say a little bit. Even say halfway.
That's my guy right there.
No.
That's why X is necessary in the game right there.
I don't like anything about Drake.
Mom,
I don't like his voice. I don't like what he talks about. I don't.
see, I be trying to tell his face.
I don't like the way he walks. Like nothing. I don't like his haircut. Let me shut up.
So that was like one of those, like alley-oops, alley-oops.
Yeah.
And like a shout out to one of the greatest to do it. And that's where it's like, if you're aficionado,
right,
that even if K Dot does feel a certain way about Drake,
that it was hip hop to pull on DMX like that. That was hip hop. That was an excellent hip hop move.
Absolutely. And that there's a reason they call him the boogeyman, y'all. He haunts you. Let me pull this. Where'd you go? There you are.
I'm checking out the comments real quick. Yeah, RIP. Somebody did not say DMX died, ? No, you didn't.
Yeah, that's been a minute ago.
Yeah.
That reminds me, hopefully it's tongue in cheek. It reminds me of that Key and Peele skit where he shows up to the Halloween party in the Michael Jackson costume, and he's dancing, doing doing all that. And he was like, finally, he was like, dude, that was cool like 10 years ago when he died. And the guy was like, Michael died? And then he moonwalks away from the door going, oh man, I love Key and Peele.
I believe J. Cole saying, I don't want to be a part of real hatred. I don't want to be a part of it. It's almost like, man, if God is not drawing his brother, I don't know. I just, it makes me want to pray for Cole, because I'm like, man, this may be the effectual call of God on this man's heart. Like, this is the type of stuff the type of character that Christians want to exemplify.
I'll say this, and then you jump in with your this is where now he starts to lose me, right? Because it's so through your Jesus colored lenses, this is the voice of God shining down on your life when like, bro, there's like way more natural explanations why Cole dipped out of it, and you could probably name 4 or 5 of them off the top of your head.
Yeah, I wasn't going to. I'm gonna be honest with you. When you first hit me up about doing this video, I was like, I was initially going to decline. I think I maybe did decline, didn't I? I said something like maybe I was busy or something like that.
Well,
I don't know.
You said I can't do it Friday or Saturday, but I could probably do it Sunday evening.
All right, I was trying to find a way to nicely say no at first, and then I went and watched the video, and when I got to this part, that's when I decided I'm going to make time to do it, because in my heart I'm like, yo, Cray is my man. We go back. I don't want people to think I'm shitting on somebody that I got history with and all that. Oh, now I'm not a Christian anymore. I'm trying to get out of Lecrae. I was like, no, I'm trying to steer clear of anything like that. But when he made that point right there, I said, okay, let's talk. Because I don't know if as a Christian, I would have even been able to understand what I'm about to say right now, but I'm going to say it. It's so obnoxious of believers to think that they have the corner on morality, that they have the corner on somebody having a conscience or somebody just wanting to do right or So the very fact that Cole's conscience pricked him, that in his heart, he felt like, you know what? I don't like what I said about Kendrick. I can't stand on that. I'm losing sleep behind this. I don't want to be that kind of dude. And for Cray to say, yo, that's probably the Holy Spirit drawing him. Like
Right.
the faith, it warps the mind so much that, and you'll see this as you get further into the video, where you see the human being as broken and as so bad that anything meritorious or anything that you would find praiseworthy, it can't be coming from down here. It's got to be coming from up there. It's got to be coming from God. And so, yeah, hearing that part, yeah, Cole backing out, that's probably the Holy Spirit drawing him. I'm like, nah, man.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I'm glad I stopped it there then, because I think we both, as far as what in our own time watching the video, individually, privately, I think it sounds like we both hit the same spot. Where it's like, come on, man, come on. And I do want to follow up on what Brady said, because we, I'm sure Brady worked with Lecrae way more than we did, but well, I probably know that to be absolutely true. But we opened up for Lecrae and Truth. I want to say it was Tadashi like 2 times, 3 times, something like that. And as far as like just people, like these are good dudes, man. They're good dudes. So I'm with Brady. This is not a shit on service or stream. That said, we're skeptics, and we're still gonna call it nonsense. But that doesn't mean it has to be we're here to smear you or smear your name. That's not what we're here for.
Amplify and pull in. So I guess really what I'm just trying to say is that as a Christian, as a man who's been healed from therapy and understands my identity, my purpose, my worth, my value, and the most important things in life, I can understand J. Cole saying, I'm going to bow out of this because there's real hatred in this that I don't want to involve myself in. I will say, though, I don't know how he moves forward writing songs about how he's the best rapper.
Agreed.
About how no one wants to test him. No one wants to see him. I don't know how that works. That's an interesting dynamic to me. And I honestly think that, that may be his reflex of like when he's just trying to rap and show bravado, because it's like he's not going to say I got guns and I'll shoot you. He's not going to talk about how much jewelry
he actually does say that. You know what I mean? I'm loading my clip. It's metaphorical, I'm sure, but he definitely does have the gun talk in his lyrics.
Yeah, in Cold, I can Google it really quick because I already know. I thought it would pop up real quick, but of course it's not going to. But it's what's the name? No Role Models. No Role Models by Cole. Like, because during all that, people are like, well, Cole's not on the gunplay shit, which usually the gunplay, when he's talking about it, even K-Dot, when they're talking about it, it's more like when they're talking about bullets and the gun talk, the gunplay, they're using that as lyrical metaphors, right? And they're drawing a comparison to that. Now, I don't know, like on that one, don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Like, I don't know. Like that's one I always go back and forth with. Like, okay, maybe he's going this direction, but it also sounds like there's a lot of misogyny there. So that whole like they're like Cole and they're not on that, but there's still that element, So, yeah, it's that's tough because you can go back and forth on that.
Yeah.
He does talk about his money and whatnot, but that's not his thing. So now we move to Drake and Kendrick, which again, in knowing Kendrick and knowing the circle he comes from, Kendrick has people who will really crash out for him. That's what there's people locked behind walls right now that if they got free, they would go back for Kendrick. Let me just say that. Now, I don't know Drake's world. I don't know his side. I'm cool with some of those people who are locked behind walls right now, and I think that's a real thing.
And I think Brady's, my memory serves me correctly because my ADHD brain, I barely remember what I ate earlier today, but when all this started to pop off, you and I had like I think maybe 2 or 3 exchanges on Facebook about this in a very having fun. And shit. See, then I just lost what I was going to say. I think this is where Drake finally, when he put out his last response, that was just. I still don't even know what he was trying to do with that one, but he realized that he stepped in the shit, right? And he was like, not only did I step in it, now I'm smelling it, I'm tasting it, and this was not a good idea. And to what what Lecrae is talking about now this is where and K-Dot said it. I think it was in Euphoria. He said like this was going to be an exercise, but here's where you fucked up: is you said my family by name. You started calling out, and anybody familiar with hip hop district, like that's a no. You don't. You can talk about anything else. And he said now, what he say when that beat change flipped, and he was like, "Don't tell no lies about me. I won't tell no truth about you." And I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be ugly."
Well, see, I think not to get into it, but I think in a way, Drake's beef with Pusha T changed some things because Drake's family got bought into it in that beef. And now that we're in the age of the internet, like we haven't had that many like popular beefs in hip hop in the social media age.
Right.
Where now you got people able to dig into, your family background and find friends of your friends and hit this person up. Yo, I'll give you 10,000 if you give me some information. And so I think when Drake and Pusha T got into their thing and, Drake got exposed for having a child out there and all that, I think that flipped the switch for Drake to say, oh, it's different now. Let me be the first one to do that before it gets done to me in this battle with Kendrick. But either way, like you said, yeah, you crossed the line at that point.
Yeah. And we'll get into this later because Lecrae does a great job of talking about Drake not being a part of or even being a voice for hip hop culture and Black culture, and he does a great job of talking about that. And I think that's where Aubrey gets it fucked up is you actually don't get it. Like these you got called out. It was your job in that beef, that back and forth with Pusha T, to call him out, be like, you don't get to do this, right? I'm not going to allow you to do this, and you spar. You go back and forth, remind him of the rules. But now because you now take it as privilege. Well, somebody did it to me, so now I can do it to you, and you did it to the wrong motherfucker.
Right.
The tension for me is that the human condition is at play here, right? Like, I think in some senses we all need friends like Kendrick who are going to tell us about ourselves. I never want to have to run into somebody in a rap battle to tell me the truth about myself. I do think Kendrick is like, bro, you need to work on yourself as a man, Drake. Like, you are a kid from Toronto who was not cool. You were not the cool kid in school. You were a child actor. You weren't really into. That's
what I was saying. He just jogged my memory. And I agree with what Brady said earlier that you don't have to be hood. You don't have to come from the hood. You don't have to be any of that to rap. You can still love hip hop, right? You can still love the art form. It's when you start to pretend that you are from the hood, that you've because even Kendrick called him out. He said you had that one track, what's it called, survive or survival, that Drake put out, and it talks about surviving the hood and the ghetto, and motherfucker, you what? How do you know? Other than your ghostwriters writing it for you, how do you know? So when you're doing that, again, it shows that you don't truly understand the hip hop culture. And you don't understand Black culture, and that I'm saying from all the other rappers, all the other like podcast hosts, like the popular hip hop podcast hosts, everything that I'm listening to is like, this dude doesn't even, which Kendrick calls him out at the end of, gives a history lesson for everybody at the end of Not Like Us. you're from the suburbs of do you know where Kendrick comes from? Like that's like you're trying to go on that that gangster shit, and I hear people say, well, Drake doesn't talk that gangster life. Are you kidding me? He has a track called what was it, gunplay gun it's something, but the hook, bottom line is the hook is gang shit, that's all I'm on. Gang shit.
And I'm sure when he does that, he's making songs for, he's got homies in Toronto. He's got people that are hood and connected, and I'm sure he's making songs for the people that have showed him the life he missed growing up. So I mean, I don't know how affiliated or unaffiliated he is, but I don't think he's like totally like, I wouldn't know a gun if I, what do I drink out of it? No, I think he I think he knows. He's close. He's hood adjacent when he wants to be. I wouldn't put that on him that he's got no connection. You know what I mean? I know people in Toronto that know people in Toronto that, 6 degrees of separation, and his degrees ain't that long.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think what I'm saying is like there's he's adjacent. That's probably what you said. Probably the best way I've heard it. Adjacent to. But when we're talking about like growing up that way,
right.
Like that is your,
right.
like that's the lens you experience, especially your developmental years. Like that's
not his life.
Yeah, you were on the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, MICKEY. Stop it. Stop.
Tune with hip hop culture or black culture for that matter. You're raised by a Jewish mother. You are a spectator in this world of urban culture, and then you're trying to enter in it. You were on record historically saying how the way hood people talked in Toronto was ignorant, right? So this is not something you live and breathe. When there are issues within the black community, you're not raising your voice to say, hey, this needs to stop. You profit off of misogyny and off of, bragging about how much money and jewelry and cars you have. There's no songs in your catalog that are trying to help shape the community that you take so much from in terms of the craft, in terms of who you use for features and so on and so forth. Now, it's not to say that your stardom and fame has not lended its power to these artists to help them rise. It's just to say that there's been no overt communication about the plight of disenfranchised people in minority communities that you do work with so exclusively. So it can feel like appropriation. And it's why I think Kendrick becomes the people's champ, is because though there's inconsistencies, though Kendrick may talk about some stuff that's like, yo, we don't want to see you, have to gun a guy down. We don't want to hear the tough talk because we know that's not where you want to go. By and large, he's talking about how a human being becomes healthier and healed. By and large, he's a person who's seeking wisdom and seeking to give it versus just to live a YOLO life well into his late 30s and early 40s. So that's what I love. I love that the people's champ came with a battle that challenged someone to grow and not be stagnant and continue to perpetuate
any thoughts leading up to that?
No, I mean, I think when I listen to Kendrick, I kind of feel like Lecrae said there, like this sort of inconsistent message. But that's what I was saying about J. Cole. Like, if you do get off of the battle rap tip, what are you going to talk about? And if you don't have, I can't front. I gotta say, I think it was my faith that gave me more to talk about than, I rapped for 25 years and never cursed in my rhymes. You know what I mean? Like never talked about, sleeping with women or getting money in my rhyme. Having a metaphysical worldview did give me something else to talk about. And if you're not going to appeal to that, because even Kendrick, his metaphysical worldview is what helped him. First it was Christian, and then it was Hebrew Israelite, and who knows what it is now. But it's like, I would love to challenge a J. Cole, a Kendrick, whoever, to find yourself, and I think that's where secular humanism comes in, find yourself wanting more for humanity without having it have to come from the outside in. Like, how about it come from the inside out? And that's gonna be a big point when Lecrae starts getting into his spiritual talk. Right. It's always got to come from the outside in. But I like what Lecrae is saying there, except for the fact that I do think there's that inconsistency in Kendrick to trying to be helping. Like Cray says, he's trying to help this guy out, but he's helping him out and pushing him down. Like, I'm pulling you up and pushing you down at the same time. It's just an inconsistent way to try to do what you're doing if that's what your aim is.
That's why I stopped there, because I think I see that a little differently, because what I hear when we're talking about the lyrical content that Cool brought, I don't feel like he was at this point. I think he had threw away the fact that Drake's ever going to pay attention to what anybody says to him, as far as, trying to help or motivate or coach or inspire. It's like you ain't listening to nobody, bro. So now I'm just going to expose all the bullshit. But what he did do is talk to the kids and the parents, because maybe you'll listen. Maybe you'll listen. And so that's why I don't feel like it's I'm gonna punch you and then pull you back up, punch you. It's like, no, I'm gonna knock you out. But why I'm doing that, the ones that I can help around you that are probably being hurt or harmed or neglected or even abandoned, I'm gonna reach out and see if I can help them, because I don't think you want help. That's how I
that's one way to see it. Yeah.
False reality. You know what I mean? Like, Drake's not a tough dude from the hood. He's not. He's a pop star from the suburbs of Toronto. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that he's not embracing it. Justin Bieber embraced it, right? Or whoever. It's like Kanye embraced being a college dropout. He never tried to be a tough guy. So I think that's the associations and so on and so forth makes it weird. Historically, rap battles have been about who's the better lyricist, who comes with the better bars. I can't sit here and say Drake didn't hold his own. I'd be lying. Like, lyrically, I think he did hold his own. But I think that Kendrick, the man won a Pulitzer Prize for his use of words. That's a tough person to go against. I think that Kendrick is a phenomenal wordsmith. Now, the problem in this entire thing for me is that I still believe you have two people who are fighting for a sense of identity. Because why do you have to be crowned the king? Why do you have to be known as the best? Like, what are we chasing? And in my mind, it's the same thing that Lucifer was chasing after. He was saying, like, listen, I need.
This is where it starts.
Yep.
Up until now was the preamble. Now that was the on ramp. Now we're on the highway.
Yes, sir. So as we do this, because let's take the sensical and then the nonsensical, right? So first of all, as rappers, as artists, especially hip hop, because hip hop, where hip hop's different than any other genre, is the internal competition within the genre, right? We don't have rock bands battling. We don't have operas and choirs, like don't have competitions, but it's not this, you know what I mean? So Brady, have you I know it's not that in the Christian hip hop world, like, you don't have people like actually doing battle, diss tracks like this, but coming in and understanding hip hop and that competitive nature, I've never met anyone in that realm of hip hop that says, nope, I don't want to be the best. I'm cool with being number 10.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, is there now, I know, speaking as somebody who was in the Christian side of hip hop my entire hip hop career, I had a personal ethic. Matter of fact, on my page today on Facebook, I was critiquing Rhapsody's new album. and I was critiquing her lyricism because Charlemagne the God called her one of the greatest lyricists of our time. And I'm like, man, get the hell out of here with that. And so somebody asked me, like, so a debate popped off whether or not she makes good songs versus she's a good lyricist. Can you be a good songwriter without being a good lyricist? And then somebody asked me, how do I think my fans would compare me? Like, how much of a lyricist was I? How much of a good song maker was I? And I said, I think anybody who gave me less than a 10 out of a 10 on lyricism, I would lose respect for them because you must not know what you're talking about.
Right.
I was that kind of lyricist. But I probably I could see somebody giving me a 5 out of a 10 for song making. I just know that's the kind of rapper that I was. I was more concerned about my bars and my lyrics than I was about making great songs. I think you can have great art without great songs. That's just who I was. I said all that to say, I think I was one of the best, if not the best person with a pen when I was doing my thing. And even though in my Christian heart of hearts, I was rapping for the glory of God, I still thought that there was some, without trying to be prideful, or maybe not trying, maybe I was trying to be prideful. I don't know. I thought that there was a certain amount of honor in doing my very best. And if I was not doing my very best, so maybe being better than somebody else was not the point, but being my best was the point. I didn't want, I hate using this language now, but I'm thinking back then. I didn't want to give God less than my best. And I wanted the person to hear me to know I'm not sleeping on a job here.
Right.
All that to answer your question. I think hip hop does call for you. Anytime you get on a track with somebody else, especially if it's just you can get lackadaisical and I took my foot off the gas on that song. You get on a track with somebody else, you better make sure that nobody can say that somebody, lapped you on a track or something like that. So I don't know. I think it comes with the territory that, you can't. I don't know about not wanting to be second best, but you got to do your best. That's what this is.
Yep.
Hip hop is you don't deserve to be on the mic unless you prove it.
Right. 100.
And if I'm on a song with you and I prove that I deserve to be on the mic and you don't, one of us got to stop rapping. Like, what are you doing here? That is hip hop.
Yeah, it reminds me because I don't think we'll ever hear Jay-Z ever come out and say this, but I would take at least a stab at a shot at it that he probably regrets not taking M more serious on Renegade.
On Renegade, yep.
Because oh my God. Oh my God, so it's that where it's like, yeah, Jay, that's probably one you went in there and freestyled some shit and then rewrote a couple parts of it, and then M sent you that, and you probably should have rewrote. So but it's
no, that is a strategy though. I think J. Cole said the same thing about him and Drake on the song they did together. J. Cole said, without trying to diss Drake, Cole said, I think Drake did the smarter commercial business thing. Rather than trying to go head to head with me to see who had the best verse, he went and made he wrote the most commercially successful verse. And that was a smarter way to battle me, because now it's not about who was the better rapper, it was who had the more popular verse.
Right.
That's the way to battle too. And maybe Jay-Z knew on Renegade, I'm not going to try to rhyme scheme Eminem. I'm just going to lay in the cut. You know what I mean? I don't know. But yeah, it's part of the culture. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. Now back into, because like you said, this is we've been on the exit. Now we're getting on the highway here as far as now it leaving just hip hop talk to now we're going to infuse spirituality. So before we do that, again, everybody, thanks for hanging out. Click all the buttons. If you enjoy Good music. I am a full-time DJ. That's what I do. And I stream and mix on here, spin on here all the time. Come hang out. We love having y'all. It's a chill place to hang out. If you want to do that, or if even if you're at work, whatever, just listen in. That's cool as well. And then again, make sure you go in the our amazing mods in the chat. They'll put the links on there, but make sure, please, that you go, if you haven't already, go follow, subscribe to Brady's channel, and we'll do another plug at the end for his, but go do that as well.
Yeah. To be seen and known as
respectable.
Pause.
I'm sorry. We stopped it because he brought up Lucifer.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder if he's being clever here. I don't know, because he never calls Lucifer the devil. And maybe he knows enough to know he can't say that anymore. But I know he knows that the Christians watching are going to think Lucifer devil. Right. And this Lucifer character, like that's an innovation of late, like 2nd and 3rd century Christianity, to be tying Lucifer from the book of Isaiah into the devil, this character who, iniquity was found in his heart, or, he tried to raise himself up to the throne of God. Like the themes that he's drawing on to try to cast aspersion on this rap battle by comparing them to this mythical ancient character of Lucifer or the Christian devil is where you start saying, okay, this is where the wheels come off for rational thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And like what I'm enjoying, as far as you and I now talking about together, is we so far, excuse me, each part of the video, we both had those moments where it's like, come on, bro. You were bringing facts. You were talking hip hop for the most part and being accurate, but now, like you said, now the wheels started shaking, and now they're about to just fall off. Because it's well, even I think I've told you before, Brady, but my mom for, what was it, 20, 30 years was a praise and worship pastor, and had a degree in music theory. Like, so I grew up around all that, right? And understanding in the Christian context the power of music, praise and worship. And the one thing my mom always talked about was Lucifer, like the image she created in, like, my brother and I's in our mind, is that anytime Lucifer walked, like he was a walking instrument. Like when he would take a step or move.
I remember those tropes, hearing those tropes growing up.
Like when he blinked, it was like a snare drum, like stuff like that. So like you said, we don't know. We're not, but is he trying to draw that comparison of Lucifer being the heavenly walking worship machine? And is he drawing that comparison there? Because
I don't think so, but that would be extra. And even if he's not, I'm sure very many Christians are. But he at least is just talking about this pride found in the heart of this Lucifer character who wanted to ascend to the throne of God. And he's going to keep comparing Drake and Kendrick to Lucifer.
Absolutely, yeah, and I agree. If he is going that far, that would be super extra in this conversation. I just, as soon as he said that, the first thing I thought about was what my mom always told us.
Yeah,
well, you need to put some respect on my name.
No, Lecrae, it's not respect; it's respect.
Respect.
Respect on my name.
And I'm gonna show you that I'm better than you. It becomes a problem when your identity's on the line. See, when you're playing basketball, it's not the same type of. It could be.
I was about to say, it very much is. Let him talk. Let him go.
Whether you win or lose, that can be a thing. However, for the most part, it's not a war trying to tear down someone's identity. It's not me trying to best you to show you you're fake and I'm real. It's not me trying to best you to show you that I'm superior to you. And that is the ultimate problem with finding our worth in what we do. What we tend to do is find the quality of our work as the quality of our worth. And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing between these guys, which I think is so unhealthy. Because at the end of the day, in order to be great, you've got to have someone less than you.
That was another one. The first time I listened to it, I was like, huh? Huh? But so, like, what is the like? I would need, and I hate to sound like a debate bro here, but I would need, like, what is the argument for that? That in order to be great, I have to make sure that there's someone lesser than me or beneath me. I don't even know how that logically follows.
Well, I get where he's coming from in this sense. Like, he made this comparison between basketball players.
Right.
Basketball players beating one another is not saying to each other, I'm a better person than you. At the most, it's I'm a better basketball player than you. Even Michael Jordan, as competitive as he was, as you can't guard me, or I'm going to show you that it still wasn't trying to put somebody's self-worth down as much as it was about you on this court. What Lecrae is saying is the way that this rap battle starts shaping up between these two, it's not about who's the better rapper anymore. It's about I as a person have value, and I'm getting my value because I'm able to take it away from you. I'm able to take value away from you or put you down. And so his point is, if you're getting, and see, it's weird because he's making a point that I kind of agree with and then a point that I don't agree with. Yes, you shouldn't get your value from putting somebody else down. But I do think there is something about this world that we live in, because he's going to talk about the broken world that we live in. I don't know if the world is broken, but I do think there's something about the world that we live in where in each and every single one of us, there is potentiality. And we are tasked with actualizing that potential. And some people will actualize their potential and others will not. Some people will struggle to, some people will have trials and hurdles in front of them, and some will overcome and some will not. There's a lot of potential in the grave that people never actualize. So Cray is going to make this whole point about you having value from God. And if you have value from God, you won't need to get your value from putting somebody else down. And that will kill all these battles that we're having. And I will disagree and say, no, I don't think it's about getting it from God or taking it from somebody else. I think our value comes from the potentiality that we have and the responsibility that we have to actualize that, which means the value never goes away because the potential is always there. It's, are we bringing that potentiality out? He's never going to touch that. He's going to make it an external thing, which is what I have a problem with.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? That you got to have someone to step on in order for you to have value and worth. If we're talking about the quality of our work, if your identity is shaped by what you do and being the best at it, then you got to step on someone else to prove that you are worthy of whatever it is you say you are. You know, C.S. Lewis says in Mere Christianity that we're not really concerned with having money. We're concerned with having more money than the next person. The idea is that we're just constantly comparing ourselves to someone else to see how valuable we are. Because if I have $100 million, but there's no one else on the planet, it doesn't make me better than anyone because there's no one to compare myself to. So we get stuck in this, what I would say, identity trap. And at the end of the day,
hold on. Christians are, I was one of these people. Christians are extremely skilled at making you feel like shit. They will find some kind of way, some kind of desire, some kind of thought in you and flip it to make you feel bad about that thought. So even the point that C.S. Lewis makes about the way people treat money, right? It doesn't matter if you have money. It matters whether you have more money than somebody else. And he's putting that thought in the reader's head to make you think, yeah, I am like that. Now, maybe you weren't like that until you read it in his book. And now you're thinking, you know what? Maybe I am the kind of person who money only matters when I have more than somebody else. But when you think about it, most people don't operate like that. They're not thinking about I need more money than someone else.
Right.
You're trying to live. You need enough money to pay your bills. You want enough money to be able to do what you want to do. Who's going around thinking $100 million? Well, if he got 100 million in one, that's not enough for me. Who's thinking that? It's the Christian's job to make you feel like you've got a heart problem, so that they can sell you their Jesus solution.
Absolutely. And as I was just refreshing and getting my studio space set up, I was listening to the end of this, like you said, where the wheels start to fall off, and literally I was listening to this part, and he said that. I looked at Jenna. I was like, I don't care how much money the next person has. I just want to make sure I'm good. We're good. I don't give a shit how much money you do or don't have. I want you to be taken care of as well. But it's not a competitive thing. It's not, well, they have more than me, so fuck it. I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to have more than them. Like I don't live my life that way.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's amazing the conclusions they can draw to, as Brady said, to make you feel like shit. And I 100% agree. It's tactical. It's tactical. It's part of the operation to weaken you and then hit you with the Jesus saves.
We're fighting the human condition, and the human condition is riddled with a false sense of identity and worth, pride, arrogance, and we're also living in a broken world that has to struggle with what Ephesians 2 talks about as the world, the flesh, and the devil. What is the world? The world is...
Hold on.
We were both up at the same time.
This whole section right here is so convoluted. If you listen, like stop it a few times and listen to what he says about the world, specifically the world and the flesh, how he explains the world and the flesh. He's going to use different terms to say the same thing, but make you think he's saying different things, but it's really the same thing to make you seem like you've got these huge astronomical spiritual problems that you need Jesus to solve. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hold on, let me go back. There was one word now, because I was zeroed in on what you were saying, and I forgot what he said. Let me get my reminder.
To someone else to see how valuable we are. Because if I have $100 million, but there's no one else on the planet, it doesn't make me better than anyone, because there's no one to compare myself to. So we get stuck in this, what I would say, identity trap. And at the end of the day, we're fighting the human condition.
Oh, that's what it was. And Brady, I think it was one of your posts that I read in the last day, 2, maybe 3 days ago. But but I could, if it's not somebody on Facebook, you'll get credit for it. I just don't know who you are if it wasn't Brady. But it said, why is it the human condition? Why is it that we are born without salvation? Like we there is none. But as far as we have to earn that, we're given the shit, right? we are made shit, and we have to earn this new version of ourselves, right? We have to come through all these hoops. Why is the human condition shit?
Yeah.
Why that?
Well, the Christians are going to say because we have free will and we made the wrong decision. That's why. And Adam, it's so funny because it's not we made the wrong. Adam made the wrong decision, right. Corrupted the human will, but then he is going to talk about this condition that we are given. But you got to ask the question of who's the we. When he starts talking about where we get this identity from, this value from, it's not shit. It's actually, it's like he's talking out both sides of his faith here. On one side, the human condition is broken, and the human condition is all this bad stuff. On the other side, he's going to tell you that the human condition is this wonderful thing that you just need to embrace that you've been given. Like, which is it?
Yeah, it's like I'm a big documentary watcher viewer, and it's eerily familiar to like how like MLMs and Ponzi schemes work, where it's like
Mm.
one of these things is not like the other. but then when we get down to it, it's like, no, you're actually still saying the same thing.
Yep.
We're shit.
Yep.
And that we just have to deal with it, embrace it.
Hmm.
Real quick, we got a super chat. Shout out to Jester, $5. Thank you. Having that $5 million and one allows you to buy my house for $2 million outright. That's awesome. 100.
And the human condition is riddled with a false sense of identity and worth, pride, arrogance, and we're also living in a broken world that has to struggle with what Ephesians 2 talks about as the world, the flesh, and the devil. What is the world? The world is all the things
Try to follow this.
that culturally are in opposition of the Lord. The Bible says God hates pride. And I mean, we're celebrating pride in this particular battle, right? There's no way around that. You can say I'm holy rolling or whatever, but at the end of the day, God is opposed to the proud, but gives grace to the humble. That's scripture.
I don't know if you have any thoughts there before I jump in.
Go ahead.
So this is where now I'm not Lecrae. I don't talk to Lecrae. We're not homies or anything. Here, I take issue with this part because, and we will see as this plays out. You're calling out the pride issue because that you think that aligns with your initiative, right? And your motive. Lecrae, here's where I take the biggest issue with this video is you want to highlight all this. You want to stay on course with your agenda, which is that's perfect. The 116 behind it. I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus. Right? This is your agenda, right? Not one time in this entire thing do you talk about the exposure of all of the abuses, all of the disgusting, dark, harmful things, victims, all that you don't even touch that. And I take issue with that you would rather talk about the pride and what Ephesians and what the Bible says about pride and the pride of man, the sinful nature, the issue with humanity, and not actually talk about the humans involved. I take huge issue with that because once we step away from the quote unquote rap battle, what Kendrick did in his tracks is he literally went up to the hornet's nest with a honey stick and has rattled so many cages. And now I've lost track of how many lawsuits, like real life lawsuits, dealing with pedo trafficking, like all of these things that now are coming to the light, right? And it started with him engaging this. Lecrae, why are we not talking about that? Why is it we're just focusing on there's this fallen humanity, and there's a God that can save you, which we're going to get to. But why have not one time have you addressed the actual point in these diss tracks as far as K. to Drake? Because he said it how many to 2 or 3 times. I've tried to keep track. 2 or 3 times K. said it on his tracks. I'm gonna catch you up. I'm gonna make you hip to game. I'm gonna educate you. Like, this is the actual dark shit where people are getting hurt, people are being abused, they're being damaged. Why are we not talking about that, Lecrae?
Flesh. The flesh is our worldly desires, our broken humanity that wants to best one another, not love one another. We want blood, right? We want to be better than everyone else for the sake of our own identity. Our flesh is broken. It wants to hate. It wants to lust. It wants to take and envy and steal and retaliate and be.
How is what he's saying about the flesh any different than what he said about the world?
Right.
It's the same thing. He's using different words to say the same thing to make it seem like the problem is greater than, come on, you got the world, the flesh, and the devil. You got all three. Two of them are the same thing. Like, what do you? Okay,
Yeah,
the world is full of pride and full of all these. Who's in the world? People. What are people made of? Flesh, and the flesh is the same thing as like. What are you talking about? Like, this is the stuff that, as a believer, you start thinking about what you believe and what you're saying the real issues are, and you start realizing like this seems like a very a false diagnosis here.
Yeah.
But I need to keep pushing this because I've got the cure. I'm a cure salesman, and I can't sell my cure if I don't get them to buy into this false diagnosis. So I've got to keep selling this thing here.
Yeah, and again, like I made the reference to like MLMs and things earlier. Always be wary of. And again, this is not an attack on Lecrae, the person, but we are going to call out nonsense for nonsense, right? And always be wary of anyone that. And I thought about this when I was doing the reviewing it before we went live. Even the Bible says, where there are many words, sin much abounds. And when you have to talk and over talk and re-explain yourself, and then like Brady's saying, and then create all these other examples or whatever that at the end of the day still boil down to this same point. Be wary. Be wary, because it's either a confusionary tactic or it's I don't really know how to communicate this in a logical way, so I'm just going to confuse you.
I'm going to throw words at you. Yeah.
When vengeance is the Lord's. And then there's the devil, the prince and the power of the air, who is literally lying to us all the time. You should be seen as the best. You should be respected. They need to put respect on your name, and not in the terms of just
Lecrae, I need you to get it right. It's respect.
Human dignity. No, they need to bow to your greatness. And that's the prince of the power of air. That's what he wanted. Like, they need to bow to my greatness.
Hold on. So, like I said, when he used Lucifer a while ago, I wasn't sure whether or not he was trying to steer clear of saying Lucifer is the devil, or if he was okay with making that connection. But now he's talking about the prince of the power of the air and saying that's what he wanted people to bow down to him. He is running the old Sunday school trope of
absolutely
the devil, the serpent in the garden, Lucifer, the morning star, all the different things that have been over the centuries sewn together to make the Satan character that Christians talk about. He is still tying all that together, which there's a part of me that respects the Christian who knows enough to know that I can't say that stuff anymore. I can't give the Sunday school version of the Garden of Eden story. I now know better, as opposed to the ones who either know better but won't stop saying it, or who don't know better, who are still talking about this idea of Satan wanted to take over heaven and took a third of the angels with him. I mean, that's from the book of Enoch. That's not even from.
Right.
I don't even think he believes the book of Enoch. Maybe he does. I don't know. But that's not something from the Christian Bible. But it's all tied together now. It's in the Christian mindset, and so I don't know. Just to use that as his see y'all. That's why we need to be aware of this kind of rap battle, because the world and this separate thing called the flesh, and then you got the devil, and it's all myth. It's all myth and superstition, and I don't know. I'm getting exercised a little bit just because I remember thinking that I needed to warn people about these realities, and if we can just get people to be aware of these realities, then maybe we can get them to fight on the side of the light and not on the side of the darkness. And
right.
It's such a waste of I said before, potential, that this is what you're going to boil it all down to.
Yeah, I can't say any better than you did. So roll tape.
So end of the day, I think the real battle is between humanity and the world, the flesh, and the devil. Right? The battle.
Again, we don't have to keep repeating ourselves, but Craig, we're saying the same. We're saying the same things over and over. We're saying the same things.
That's the real battle.
And see, there's a point where like I start to get agitated, but then I'm like, there's no point in getting agitated because this is just silly. This is silly.
I wonder. Sometimes I wonder if Christians. I didn't. No, I think when I was a Christian, I was very thoughtful about how I presented things because I was always thinking about what the other side of this coin would say. But I don't think a lot of Christians realize how weak and ineffective and inactive they make their God seem when they say the real battle is between humanity and the world, the flesh, and the devil. Because my question is, where's God at in any of that? Why isn't the real battle between him and his adversary? And what's taking so long for him to win? I got other thoughts about that, but I'll save it for now.
Yep. And if you guys familiar with the channel, when there's a mic drop moment like that, you know my go-to.
It's just fought with different weapons, same enemy. And I love Ephesians 1 because in Ephesians 1, God is telling us who we are. We don't have to go get in a rap battle to demonstrate our value and our worth. Ephesians 1 is literally, I'm going to read it. This is what Paul says in Ephesians 1. I'm going to read it. Paul says this. He says, blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus, who's blessed us with every spiritual blessing. So we got every spiritual.
Who's the us? He says, we got every spiritual blessing. Who's the we? Just keep that in mind. Go ahead.
Yep.
Blessing. He chose us before the foundation of the world. So we're chosen.
Hold on, wait. Did he choose everyone in the world? Because if he had to choose people, that means he opted out of choosing some other people. So again, who's the us? Who's the we? We can't be if you choose every car on the lot, like that's not a choice. You just took the lot, right? Like when you say he chose us and we have, he's going to talk about he predestined all these things. You are in like without question saying that only applies to some people. So the question to a Lecrae would be, you're trying to encourage these people that they have inherent value because of what God did. He chose us and we're this and we're that. How do you know who's in that we and who's part of that us?
100. And see, damn it, this is why I wanted Brady here for this. Damn it, this I was like, I'm not doing this one solo. And if even if he would have declined me the first time, I would have went back and asked him again.
And blameless. That's who we are. Predestined for adoption to himself, to the praise of his glorious grace. In him we have redemption through his blood. We have an inheritance. We're predestined. He goes on and on and on. Even going into Ephesians 2, where he says we're his workmanship, created for things that he's already pre-planned. Workmanship means the Greek word is poema, which is poetry. We're his poetry. Like, when we know our value based off who God says we are, we don't have to fight for it. We don't have to beat on people to demonstrate that I'm valuable. Which is why I think if that's what J. Cole's thought process was, he's moving in the right direction.
And I want to say at this point, I think he's trying to use Cole here as an scapegoat, kind of. What I mean by that is because he said, well, he was alluding to K-Dot and Drake, they're in this for pride. It's just all pride. Essentially, the devil made him do it. But this J. Cole guy, this one hits different because, like he referred to earlier, the Holy Spirit is calling him asunder.
Yeah, he's recruiting J. Cole for his this is where things need to be moving, and this was probably somewhere in Cole's, somewhere in his mental universe was something about having value outside of a rap beef. Now, granted, everything that we know from Cole tells us where he gets his value. He gets his value from being able to out-rap the person he's on the track with.
Exactly.
But now, because Cole backed out, now you're going to recruit him to make him a soldier in the army of the Lord.
Yeah, he's talking about pride being the initiator of said battle, right? And then now Cole is, and he's saying pride, right? But Cole is the example of humility.
Mm-hmm.
Cole is the example of how we should operate. And he's said, I don't know how many times in here, being someone that is healed, an apprentice and a follower of Jesus, trying to draw that parallel where it's like, now I'm going to use it, even though I don't know if J. Cole does or doesn't believe in God or Jesus, but trying to like literally do like breaking back bends to try to draw this picture and pull this out. This is silly. This is silly.
Yeah, Cole just said on what's that song? Pricey. No, not Pricey. Yeah, it is Pricey. All praises due to my God. But then after all praises due to my God, or before that, the line was, what did he say? I'm the shit like the star. I'm a star like the shit on the sheriff's sign. Only listen to Minister Farrakhan. So if anything, I think Cole would be heading more towards Islam than Christianity. I don't know how. Lecrae is recruiting him to be a poster child for this Christian ethic. Everything I've heard from Cole, when he starts talking God talk, he's not talking Christian talk. But anyway.
Right. And that's what I said. And for the record, neither Brady are saying that he is or is not, but I would definitely lean to what you're suggesting. It would be Islam or something similar. But I definitely don't get Christian vibes from Cole.
Right.
Right. It does me no good to beat you down to show you how great I am. Yeah, that's where the lies come into play. The lies come into play to tell us that we're only valuable if we're better than someone else. That we're only valuable if we're more powerful than someone else. Whenever you make anything like your ability or your body or your looks a part of your identity, they'll ultimately begin to crush you. Those things are going to crush you because
they are your identity. What do you like? How do I identify you if not by your looks? How do I like if I want you to rap on a track, it's because of your skill, it's because of your abilities. Like the idea of people having an identity, this is what I say about Christianity. It makes all the natural things about you bad things.
Yes.
That you should have to detach yourself from these things and get your worth from something external. Your looks, your ability, that is who you are. That. Right. It's not a bad thing if you derive your worth from things that are true about you. That is who you are.
Yeah, that's the whole this whole notion of depravity and like you're just shit and you don't have an identity and you are worthless until you find your identity in Christ. Right. Then and only then are you a beautiful creation. Get out of here.
They've got to always measure up, because when they don't measure up, now your identity and your value is worthless. So I wouldn't be surprised if internally Drake is feeling a sense of worthlessness and having to go count his money or have.
And right here, I'm just going to say this. If you want to comment on it, Brady, feel free. This right here would have been the perfect time, Lecrae, would have been the perfect time for you to say this and follow it up with, and based on allegations, lawsuits, all of that. I would be feeling a certain way if I'm Drake, if I'm Aubrey Graham. Hell yeah, I'm feeling a certain way, because now all my bullshit is coming to the light. All the like K. Dot said, the master manipulator, the taking advantage of people, doing this, and now videos and pictures, and like we got receipts. Hell yeah, he's probably feeling a certain way, but that doesn't mean we feel sorry for him if all of these things do end up being true, especially in a court of law. You're taking advantage, especially if it's a minor. I don't feel bad for you, bro. So this, Lecrae, would have been a perfect moment for you to say, but it's also this, and this also has to be dealt with. This also has to be addressed, and not just glaze over it. Like we're like, let's step out of the metaphysical for a minute, and let's talk about the brutal realities in the fallout, that's happening. So that's my 2 pennies on that.
having to go look at his bank account or having to go think about all the beautiful women that he slept with or all the awards he has in order to reassure himself that even though he lost the culture war, he's still valuable. I wouldn't be surprised if he has to go look at the things he's done to remind himself of his worth. When at the end of the day, I've said it a million times, our value, our worth, our purpose is received, not achieved. If you gotta work,
I cannot accept that.
Nope.
Your value is received, not achieved. Like, what does it do for achievement? Like, what does it turn your achievement into? If your achievement doesn't do anything to, and once again, I'm not saying your achievements give you value, but I do think your achievements can demonstrate your value. Like, what is an Oz worth? Oh, he's a DJ. Oh, he does this well. Oh, okay, you're worth something. What crazy? It is a religious idea to say whether you ever produce anything or not, you're worth something inherently because you were made in the image of God, let's say, or the other things all the things he talked about in Ephesians 1, right? This is why you have value. But I don't know those things to be true. I don't know that you're made in the image of God. I've never seen God. I don't know that you're chosen before the foundation of the world and that you're God's poema, you're his poetry. I don't know any of that.
Right.
Even if I believe it, I don't know it. And so what is the value of a you? Now I can say, because you're a human being, I can give you the benefit of the doubt and say, I'm pretty sure you've got potentiality that you are actualizing, have actualized, or will actualize. So because of that, I can give you some credit and say you're valuable. I shouldn't take your life. Why? Because even though I don't know what you've done, you've got to have some value. Why? Because you're a human being. You're like me, right? I know I have value. I know that I've got potentiality that I'm actualizing. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say you do too. So it's not necessarily that your value is achieved, but I do think your value is demonstrated by the way you actualize your potentiality, as opposed to this idea of, no, it's got to be received. God's got to give you your value. Because what if you don't believe in God? Or what if you're not one of those people who've been chosen as he believes in Ephesians 1? Then where's your value at? What if you're Pharaoh, who God only raised Pharaoh up so that he could, strike him down? Like, are you valuable in that case? Sorry.
No, this is why I wanted you here, bro. Because when it comes to this part, like I wanted your input on it, because to me, like I said, it's now for me on the other side as a skeptic, a non-believer, like this is so silly to me. This is so silly to me that we're going to tie these things to a rap battle. But this is what's dangerous. You alluded to this earlier. Is that there will be listeners and viewers of this that could get caught up in this web, right? And because he's dealing with pop culture, and like we said at the opening, unless you live under a rock, you've at least heard or seen something on social media or whatever on websites about this, and it would be very easy for not just Lecrae, but anyone to try to run game. Right, and try to run game on somebody and use this as a tool, or even weaponize it. Right, this is why you need God. So no, this is why I wanted you here, bro.
Cool.
Work for it. It's not authentic. It's not really where your value lies. Jesus already achieved it on the cross. You don't have to do any extra work. God already achieved it when he made you in his likeness and his image. You don't have to go pummel somebody in a battle to show that you're valuable.
So
I remember
don't know
when I was in high
if people catch what he just said there. Your value's already been achieved for you. How? Jesus already achieved it on the cross. But right after that, he says God already achieved it when he made you in his image. So anybody catch that? Like, did humanity lose the value after being made in God's image so that Jesus had to get it back again?
Right.
Like, do we understand what we're saying? God already gave us value, and then Jesus died on the cross, and then that gave us value.
Which one is it? It's it.
Well, many people won't know this, but as you get into Christian theology, a conversation is going to come up of did humanity lose the image of God in the fall? And the people who believe they're more orthodox would say, no, we did not lose the image of God. So we could not have lost the value if that's where it came from in the first place. So if that's where it came from, and we didn't lose the image of God because that's Genesis 1, then you get to Genesis 9:6, and it forbids murder because man was made in the image of God. So that's a sign that we still have it. So then why are you saying that Jesus achieved value for us when he died on the cross if we've never lost that value? So there's in the idea of Christian theology that you got to work out to try to figure out, where does this value actually come from? Because a minute ago it was Ephesians 1. That's where the value came from. Like, so like, what are you talking about?
Right. And that is the frustrating part of the apologetics, the salesmanship behind this. It is what gets frustrating, because it's you again, like I said, and I say these things now because like they're silly to me, but again, one of these things is not like the other. Like you know, it's yeah, you it's what's the analogy I used to use. So going back to basketball talk, like apologetics and this like salesmanship, I guess is what I call it. This is the problem with probably most religions, but talking specifically about Christianity here, is in basketball talk. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, right? So that's the initiator for this example I'm going to use. Apologetics, if he's the same yesterday, today, and forever, that means you've picked up your dribble. You've picked up you can't move. All you can do is pivot, 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 and pivot, because you don't get to change because he doesn't change.
Yeah.
Right. So your message has to say the same. And if your message has to say the same, the only thing you can do is now try to recreate it. Like the wording, right? The wording, the message has to remain the same. And that's where we get all the, the word salad and the mumbo jumbo, all that ish, but no, and this is why I wanted Brady on here. And I was not going to review this by myself.
High school, and in high school my value was being the dope rapper. Like, just candidly, I was the best rapper at every school I was at, and that was my value until we got a transfer student named Steve from Brooklyn, the birthplace of hip-hop. So here I am in the cafeteria every day, beating on the tables, beating on my
I just said Bronx
chest, rapping, destroying everybody. And here comes Steve from Brooklyn. He's kicking metaphors and similes and bars and references. I was just destroyed. And because of that, my value was now in question. My identity, my worth was in question. So what did I do? I had two choices. I could either run away from him so that I could maintain some semblance of value, or I can associate with him so I can regain some sense of value. So I just started associating with him, and I learned from him, because I was like, oh no, I got to secure my value and my worth and my identity. So I got to hang around Steve so that I can benefit and learn this technique. Now, the good news is I became a better rapper. The bad news is that all it did was, reignite a false sense of self-worth and identity. To where you fast forward, I'm writing a song about identity because I'm still wrestling with that reality. I'll never forget. I'm nominated for.
Why is it a false sense of security? Why is it a false sense of identity? Like, it's you. It's what you bring to the table. That is your value. Now you can dig deeper and you can hone your skills and you can find out how resourceful you are. I'll never forget when I became an unbeliever and I stopped getting my value from God, and I had to find out how resourceful I could be. I had only trained myself to do ministry. Here I am in my 40s with a mortgage and stupid school loans for ministry degrees that I'm never going to be able to use. I'm like, damn, I gotta find a way to pay these loans off. I gotta live, and I didn't train myself to do anything else. I had to figure out how resourceful I could be. What do I bring to the table? Like, it's not a false sense of identity to get your value from what you're bringing to the table,
Absolutely.
or to not know what you bring to the table and question, man, what is my value? That's part of life.
Absolutely.
People got to figure that out.
100 and I would ask Lecrae if he were here. Lecrae, what is actually wrong with thinking you're the best at something? What is actually wrong?
Well, see if you want to still ask that question, because he answered it. The answer he would give is, when somebody who's better at that comes along, then what happens to yourself? What happens to your identity? What happens to your value then? So you set yourself up for failure if you base your identity in that.
Yes, I'm glad you said that. If identity is based on that, yes. But now I know I'm coming in from my current view of life experience, everything. It's like, no, even I'm the best, and I meet somebody that is or maybe better than me. Guess what? I'm going to watch. I'm going to listen. And I'm going to learn, and I'm now eventually I will be the best again, because you're only going to make me better. You're the rising tide raises all ships, right? I want to meet people that are going to challenge me in life. I want to meet people that are going to make me think harder, work harder, right, whatever it is. And I that whole pride, like ego thing, and wanting to be the best at what you do. Right. I don't think I think there is a healthy. There's a healthy way to approach that. That as long as you're willing to say that there probably is and could be someone better than me, and until I meet them, I'm gonna ride that boat. Right. But then when I meet them, then let's get it.
Or you could change what you think it means to be the best. So rather than having to be better than someone else, I'm going to be the best that I can be. And if I can always get better, then I've got a goal to reach for that'll keep me striving.
Absolutely.
But it's not this black and white of either I'm going to be the best at something or I'm worthless. Like, that's not the way he's presenting it is, if somebody comes along and you're no longer the best, now you're not going to have any worth anymore. Like, no. There are ways to deal with finding out someone's better than you. There are ways to deal with finding out that you could be better. There are ways to deal with, even if I do get my value from this, I'm not done just because I feel like I got a 10 out of 10 on this particular event. I could still get better. I don't know. I think it's a very short-sighted way to see where people get their worth from, or how people assess their worth. But the only reason why you take this short-sighted approach is because, once again, you're selling something. Exactly. And you need people to buy what you're selling. And so you've got to get them thinking that finding self-worth in anything earthly is wrong, so that you can sell them your heavenly solution.
And everybody, another mic drop.
Grammy against Drake, Eminem, Kendrick, and Childish Gambino. And in the category, I'm like, yo, I want to win this. And I wanted to win it so bad, because what it would prove is that I was worthy. It would prove that,
Here's where you start saying to yourself, yo, you're supposed to be running a commercial for this Jesus thing, right? Like, you're telling me not to get my identity from my rap skills, from this battle, from how much money I got, who I'm better than, how many women I sleep with. But you just said you're still dealing with the issues of identity.
Right.
You're still dealing with getting your value from XYZ. Now, the story he's talking about now was years ago when he was up for a Grammy against Drake and all them. But he just said, you're still writing songs about identity. So even the thing that you're telling me is helping you with your identity is not helping you. You're a Christian. You're predestined to be adopted and chosen, and you're still wrestling with your identity. So how well does this thing that you're selling me actually work?
and Bingo was his name. Oh, yeah, that's why I keep saying it's silly. It's silly. It's silly because, and I'm glad that you highlighted that because because I think this is the second time that he's made reference to that. I'm still so you're literally pretending to have the answer, because what you're telling us is you actually don't have the answer because you're still fighting it,
or you have it and it doesn't work like you say it does.
yes, or that or that.
Yeah, the little lowly Christian rapper from no man's land and nobody cares about, that when he walked the red carpet and no one took pictures of him, still matters because he beat the big guys. Look at me, I matter. And God already told me I mattered. He told me in scripture. I mean, the creator of creation himself knows me by name, and I'm still fighting. I'm still fighting for a false sense of identity. I love this quote that Tim Keller says. He says this, he says, we have to be esteemed to have self-esteem. You've got to be esteemed from someone else if you're going to have any self-esteem, because your self-worth, if it comes from the art world or the academy, what happens when these people disillusion you? Where's your value now, right? The praise of the praiseworthy is above all awards. So really what we all want is to be praised by people we esteem, because that reinforces our value system. Like I remember watching a
personally, Brady, I mean, like, it's cool. Like when let's just talk about me DJing, right? And that's what the fuck I do, right? When people shout me out, whatever, like, hey, Oz is a dope DJ, hey, or I get, I earned the nickname the Mad Scientist, right? Like, does it feel good? Hell yeah. Anytime somebody shouts you out, you're doing something, you're killing the game, whatever. When they that's badass, and thank you. I'm grateful. Like I appreciate it. I do not base any of my identity, how I feel about myself or don't feel about myself, on what you or anyone in the chat or even Jenna, like, I don't, like, I know who the fuck I am, right? I know what I bring to the table.
Yep.
And if you don't like that, that's a you thing. But I'm very secure.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy with and I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of what I've done and what I've accomplished and where I'm at. And I don't need you signing off on it, bruh.
Right. Right. Now we do go find our tribe. We do go, if I feel like I'm productive and I'm putting something out into the world, I'm actualizing my potential. I do want to find people who appreciate what I'm doing. One, because they could possibly pay me for it. And two, it helps to reinforce the view that I have of myself. If I think I'm the shit and I go out there and they like, no, you ain't the shit, you are shit, I'm like, oh, damn, maybe my view of myself is false. I don't want to have a false view of myself, but I don't have a false sense of identity if I feel like, yo, I'm bringing something to the world and they affirm me and say, yo, we like what you just bought. Yo, when Oz rock a party, that party is like that affirmation is good. It's not a bad thing to have a sense of who you are and get confirmation of that from other people.
Right.
That's just how the world works. But he's about to say something that's going to change this whole tone. Go ahead.
Kanye documentary, and Kanye was sitting in there, and all these rappers would come into the studio and tell him he was dope, and he's like, yo, such and such just came in and said I was dope. It's crazy. And now fast forward, those people could not affirm him. He's surpassed them. So he's like, I need affirmation from somewhere else. Someone's got to esteem me, and there's no one else I respect who's higher than me but God. So I'm going to call myself God. I must be God because I esteem no one else. And that's literally the chaos and craziness that we descend into when we're constantly looking for validation from others. Now, I'm not saying that we don't need that.
I don't know why, but it popped into my head when he started talking about Kanye calling himself God. It really is this idea of, we're looking for affirmation from other people to give us our value. And in a minute, he's going to say, hey, but God is giving you your value. God's going to give you your affirmation. I wonder why it didn't cross his mind to say, I think I just painted myself into a corner here, because the God that you're talking about is a God who craves affirmation from his creation. The verse you just read in Ephesians says he predestined and he elected and he adopted, da, 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 da. Why? To the praise of his glory. So this God that you're talking about, who's giving us our identity and our value, is getting his value from his creation. Because if we don't praise him, if we don't worship him, if we're not giving him his glory, something in God's holy identity is not set right if his creation is not worshiping him. So how are we supposed to be getting our value from this God that apparently needs us to feel like he's the shit?
Hold on. So it would go back to what's the old adage? Do as I say, not as I do. You know, that's a knock. See, I didn't even process or think about that. That's a great fucking point. Oh my god, yeah. So which, and again, if Lecrae was here, I would ask you, but then again, which is it? Which is
it's a huge circle jerk. We get our value from God, and God gets his value from us.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so. In that, and now me just processing what you said. So then in Kanye, and he even has a song, I Am God. Like he has a song. But given the way you just broke it down, what's wrong with Kanye calling himself God?
Well, Kanye said, I am a God, not
I
am God. Yeah.
You're right. My bad. But even whether it's however the lyric is delivered, what's wrong with it? Like as I'm processing, because it is a circular thing, right? Where it's God gets his, his a sense of identity, whatever, from it's our admiration and our and vice versa. So it is.
With God, it's not called value; it's called glory. He gets his glory from us. That's the difference.
God, all right, never mind. I'm still a piece of shit.
From other people, because that's how children develop. They need that affirmation from their parents, right? Until you get to a certain place where you're like, I don't really want yours. I want my peers and social media. It's helpful, but human beings are always going to let you down. They're always going to be not as great at demonstrating to you how valuable you are, right? You're going to esteem this person who esteems you, and then you're going to see the kinks and cracks in them, and you're gonna say, oh man, or they're gonna let you down. But what if your value and your worth and your identity is given to you by someone who can never fail?
Or what if that same person that you're referring to, Lecrae, that I tried to esteem, I did find the cracks?
Yeah, what if he does fail?
what if he does fail to deliver?
Yeah.
Then what?
Well, God is not a man that he should lie. God is not a human being. So if God is telling you who you are and your worth and your value, now you have something to really hold on to. Now no one can come in and say you're a terrible rapper, you're ugly, you're broke, and your sense of worth is diminished. Because you're like, I mean, that's a circumstance right now that I'm dealing with, but this is who I am. And there's nothing you can do to take away from the fact that.
Well, it's so here, even not to go too deep here, but what's I want to say it's in Psalm, damn it, essentially that the power of words, right? And how the Bible tries to make that, like, words just carry this, can just crash your entire life with one or two words, or just revolutionize your life with one or two.
Life and death are in the power of the tongue.
Yeah, yes, definitely that one. And there's another one. Regardless, we'll use that one because it's going to prove the same point. And again, I'm speaking for me. I know each individual has their own case, their own place, even own personality styles, that type of thing. Listen, Linda. Listen, Linda, you could either on a live stream or just meet me face to face and tell me to my face that you think that I'm trash. that you think that I'm ugly, that you think I'm the biggest piece of shit walking the planet. Again, I'm very in tune with who I am. And one of the things that I do embrace is being able to look in the mirror and do my own self evaluation, right? Like, and how am I doing? How am I feeling? And mental health and all that is so important to me. And I'm very proud of that. Dude, you're not going to be able to say words to me that's going to change the way I see me and the way I experience life. And that's within the Christianity lens or whatever, dome is what I was thinking, is like, whatever. But it's like, if you're that fragile, that someone can come along and, to use his words, you're ugly, you're fat, you can't rap, you can't DJ. If those things are going to crush you, yes, I will help you find a therapist, because there's deeper rooted issues than just Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm blessed with every spiritual blessing in Christ. And the thing I love about that scripture, Ephesians 1, thing I love about it, over and over again, it says, in him we've obtained this. You are this in him. And
in him. That's always funny to me. In him.
Well, what's weird about that, in him, is, where is him at?
Yeah, where is him?
Like, him is in heaven somewhere. And it's almost like, Jesus is recorded as saying in the Gospels, in the Gospels, I didn't think that was going to be funny. He ascended. He's not here, but all the identity is in him. So he's there, but you're here. But in the Gospels, Jesus says, like, don't store up treasures here on earth, where thieves can break through and steal, and moths can eat it up, and rust can, store your treasures in heaven. It's like, okay, if my treasures are stored in heaven, I can't really do anything with them because that's where they are. Well, if my identity is stored in him and he's up there, like, all the things I need to be okay and be good. This is the reason why I think, Lecrae, if you still wrestle with identity the way that you said, the reason why you still wrestle with identity is because you've stored your identity in heaven, where not only can thieves not get to it, you can't get to it. It's in him, but you're down here. So maybe mentally you can try to bring yourself to the point of, no, I am in Christ and I am chosen. I am da, 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 da. But at the end of the day, when the rubber meets the road, you're here. And if he's real, he's there. Your value and your identity that you're geeked about is there. And you don't get to touch it until you're there.
Hey, that's real talk. That's real talk. So the reason I was laughing, because the way you, it's not what you said, it was the way you said it. It popped in my brain. Bernie Mac, when he was on Kings of Comedy, and
okay.
him's down there. the way you said it, Bernie Mac, so I wasn't laughing at you. It was
all good.
the Bernie Mac jumped in my head. I was
all
like,
good.
Him's downstairs.
If you get real deep and theological, that's a term that it basically, the theological conversation around it is like, we're in union with Christ. Basically, what he is our representative. What happens to him happens to us. What happens for him happens for us. So because Christ has ascended the throne, now we get every spiritual blessing that he has. So God literally is looking at us through the lens of Jesus. And if you think about it like this, David and Goliath, David goes out to war against Goliath. He's their representative for Israel. What happens to David happens to Israel. If David loses, they don't just lose this war. Like, literally their village is next door. Like, the Philistines are going to come and slaughter David's mom, his dad, and his siblings. However, if David wins, all of Israel wins. And that's what happened. Because David won that victory, Israel won the victory. Because Jesus has won the victory for us, we all win in him. We don't have to battle for a sense of worth or victory.
So Brady, help me right now. Help me. Help me make sense of this. How did we go from Jesus and Jesus, what Jesus did and has and whatever, that means we have, and then we go straight to David and Goliath. That was, correct me if I'm wrong, that was before Jesus, right?
Oh no, he's just that for him. That's just a word picture. He's just using him as a metaphor, in the same way that David won that battle against the giant, and all Israel didn't even have to fight, but still got the victory. Well, in the same way, Jesus has this wonderful victory over death and has this wonderful identity in God, and we don't have to fight for it, because if we're in Him, once again, we're in Him, even though Him's there. If we're in Him, we got all that stuff, just like Israel got the victory from David's battle against Goliath. So the symbolism works.
Right.
It's just not true. So it's like, okay, what did we really get?
Right. That's, I was being facetious when I asked it, because it's like, just more. It's more words. Exactly. Just more words. More attempts to make examples.
Yeah.
Or purpose. It's already been won for us, and that's the beauty of being a Christian. Now, if you're not a Christian, it makes total sense to see why two people will go head to head, because they've got to constantly prove their sense of self-worth and value. Right? Who are you if you're not the best at this? Or who are you if you're not the greatest at that? No one is like, I'm just second best. I guess that's who I am. I mean, you could kind of find some contentment there, I guess, if you really wanted to, but then what happens when you're not second best?
And I do have to, what's the scripture? We do not battle with flesh and blood, but principalities. So there are battles to be won. So that means you are, like, there is an enemy, right? That's your footstool. Like now I'm just drawing all this together as he's talking about this again. So you still have someone that you're stepping on, as I think he said. Yeah. You still have someone you're stepping on, but you've justified it because it's the enemy, right? Would that be fair, Brady?
Yeah. So somebody in the comments talked about, didn't Lecrae already talk about us having, humanity has a battle against the world, the flesh, and the devil. So, and I think that's sort of how I approached it when I was a Christian, because I loved the battle rap world before it was what it is today. I just loved the battle rappers. My favorite influencers back when I started rapping was Big Daddy Kane, who most of his lyrics on record were battle raps that he just turned into songs. So I started writing raps just on the idea of being better than someone. But I started as a Christian, so I couldn't be talking about another physical person. So I just turned it to, there's a spiritual battle. And as long as it's a spiritual battle, it's okay to have that kind of battle. So, yeah, I think in a sense, you don't look at yourself as being better than anybody in the spiritual battle, but there is a sense in which you're going up against someone. There is something going on.
Yeah, but and that's why I was trying to recall. But isn't there a scripture where it talks about the devil or the enemy being a footstool?
It's the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. So this is a psalm that gets appropriated to Jesus at some point.
Okay, that's I couldn't remember the actual context or where. Okay.
When you're not third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, when you just get all the way down to the totem pole and you're like, man, dang, everyone's better than me. When you turn 80 and you're none of those things anymore. I was on a flight one time. This football player was so obnoxious. He sat next to me and he was like 20 years removed from the NFL. He kept downing drinks and talking about his pro days. And I felt so bad for him because I was like, yo, all he has is what he did. His worth is in his work. And when he doesn't have that work anymore, he doesn't know who he is. So he's just obnoxious, bragging about what he did.
I wonder, would you have felt the same way if he sat on the plane next to you and just started being obnoxious, bragging about who he is in Christ? Like, yo, I was chosen. Yo, before the foundation of God had his eye on me. Would you, I mean, the thing that you're saying you had an issue with, is it his obnoxiousness or what he was obnoxious about? Because you could be obnoxious with your Christianity. I'm not saying you are, Craig. I'm just saying, what are you really saying about the fact that he was talking about what he put his worth in? You just had a problem with what it was because it was something past. If it was something present, if he didn't stop talking about his kids the whole flight, would you have had the same problem with it? Like,
Right.
what is your real issue with what happened on that plane?
Yeah, great point. Absolutely.
20 years ago. And we get to brag about who we are from eternity past to eternity future. And it's not because of anything we done, but it's because of what Christ has already done.
I would feel like you felt
me,
on that plane if you sat beside me, because you just said we get to brag about. Okay, so then you're telling me what, as a Christian, that's what I did. I bragged about what Jesus did. The same way you thought he was obnoxious, you're bragging about the things that you're proud of now, where you get your value from, will be just as obnoxious. Maybe the lesson is not going around talking about yourself so much to the guy on the plane and to the believer.
Absolutely. And I could tell you the quick now 2024, being a non-believer, being a the easiest way to get on my nerves is having a believer, yes, bragging to me that they know a better way to live this life. They know a better reality. They know a better experience, but yet can't provide any good reason to actually hold on to this belief. Right. It's like, so you're bragging about something that isn't actually tangible, but at least this dude, even if he's pounding drinks, he's talking about something that actually happened.
Exactly. Exactly.
Even if he is still finding his reality in something that happened 10 or 20 years ago, at least we can go back and we could check the Googles, whatever.
Right.
He was a football player. We can verify that this was an actual reality.
Yeah.
That's the uniqueness of the position we have as Christians. So when I'm looking at Kendrick and Drake,
I just want to say this real quick. That Lecrae, nothing but love, but that's not a uniqueness. You're trying to create a uniqueness because it doesn't actually. It's not there. You want it to be there, and you're according to your faith. And it sounds like your doctrine, your theology, that has to be there for these things to align. But that does, just because you say it doesn't make it true, and it doesn't make it real.
As much as I love the fact that Kendrick is trying to call Drake up to something greater, Drake doesn't have that power in and of himself. He doesn't have the power to find his value in anything else. I mean, you can try to say, well, I'm a good father, or I'm this, or I'm that. But guess what? Even those things will run their course. And I commend Kendrick for saying, man, invest in your kids, get a family, give back to the community. I think all those are beautiful. And I don't think we can separate.
Yeah. Now back just real quick on the hip hop tip, Lecrae, I don't think you're really paying attention to what was going on, because that's what you just said. That's not what was happening.
What we do from who we are. I think who we are is why we do what we do, and why we do what we do is because of who we are. But I think when you're doing the thing to become someone, it's different. If you're serving and loving and caring to become valuable, you're still earning it. It's no different than going out there trying to be the best, the biggest, the brightest. Now you're just trying to be the kindest, the most loving, but it's in your own will. Instead, you don't go out there trying to earn value by loving people well. You go out there, and because you are valued, because you are loved, you then love. Because you are purposeful, you then go live out that purpose.
Could the same thing be said and be effective if, because he says you don't do it to gain value, to gain purpose, you do it because you are valuable, you have purpose. Okay, I'm with you there. But does it have to be an external value? Do I have to have received, like you said, you don't achieve it, you receive it. Do I have to have received the value and the purpose to say, hey, I am valuable, I am purpose, I have purpose, so now I can go out and do it? Or can I value myself? can I give myself a purpose? And because I now have value and purpose that I got for myself, go out and do those things.
Right.
Will it work just as well if I got the value from me as opposed to this external being that you believe exists? I'm just curious if in your estimation, Cray, that would work, because if so, that might even be the solution for what you're struggling with, if you're struggling with identity and all that, as opposed to wrestling with, man, I know God says that I'm this and God says that I'm that. I just don't feel it. As opposed to trying to get it from outside, what if you ginned it up within yourself and cultivated it within yourself? Would it work just as well? I wonder. Do you think?
Yeah, like spot on question, and I would love to hear a response to that, because I know, again, speaking for me, my identity is more unshakable now than it ever was.
How about that?
When I was a believer.
How about that?
Ever was. Because back then you could have told me, Oz, you're fucking up here, you're fucking up there, and immediately my anxiety went through the roof. Like, I'm just a piece of shit. All I do is fail. All I do is disappoint God. All I do is disappoint my parents. All I do is disappoint my pastor. And now, man, I'm damn near immovable, right? Because I know who and what I am and what I offer and what I bring. You know, what I bring to not just myself, but my family, my friends. I know it now. It's not a what I think it's this because the Bible or God told me so. It's no, I know this, and it's damn near concrete. You know, so yeah, I would love to hear a response to a question like that from him.
And people say, why are you doing that? It's because this is who I am. Well, people say, who are you? Well, look at what I'm doing. I'm doing this because this is who I am. And, you know, I am this, so therefore I do. It's not I'm doing this so that I can gain value or become valuable. And I think it's almost like the Pharisaic trump card that Kendrick does have on Drake is, I'm doing self-work. I'm caring for my community. I'm taking care of my.
In a Christian way, he just shit on Kendrick's, whatever good Kendrick does. He said in a Pharisaic way. Of course, the Pharisees are self-righteous. So because Kendrick is doing some things in his community and doing things with his family, it's a Pharisaic way that Kendrick gets to put this trump card down on Drake. And like this is what I said, Christianity trains you to shit on anything good that you do as a human being. And it's one of the saddest things about the religion.
That was a great catch, because I listened to it twice and I didn't even notice. That was a great catch. I'm glad you pointed that out, because because now I'll double and triple down on what I said earlier. So now you're going to say that about K Dot, but you're still going to go ghost. You're going to go ghost on the real life things that are happening to humans that are again being taken advantage of, abused, harmed. You're, instead of actually addressing the real shit that's happening on this in this real life that we're experiencing, you're going to focus on that rather than the actual problems that have been I won't say awoken, because they were already there and living, but now well, I'll quote the not good book. Anything done in the dark comes to the light. And now that they're being come to light, and you don't want to talk about it.
And I'm just to be clear, the only reason I'm silent on those things, because you brought that up several times, is because I don't know if any of the allegations are true, and I haven't even heard or even seen posted videos, and so I don't speak on things that I'm not certain about or even privy to. So don't let my silence be complicity or anything like that.
Yeah, and no, that's fair, and that's why I haven't pressed you or asked you about that, because I never assume that people have are following the backstories and do the way I do, because I follow all of this. So that there are things, and for those listening, watching now or later, when we say K Dot had receipts for these things, there are receipts out there. If you want to do your own investigation, there are receipts out there. But no, please, my words are my own words. This is not me speaking on Brady's behalf at all. This is me speaking from my position, what I've read, what I've studied and researched and learned. But yeah,
kids, and it's almost like a trap. That's a trap as well, because no one wins that battle. So what if Drake all of a sudden now just becomes a super philanthropist and starts killing it and serving the community and so on?
Well, then
so
humanity wins. Humanity wins that battle. Like it's not no one wins. If K Dot challenges Drake to be a better person, to a better person contest, and they both just start outdoing each other, doing good, doesn't scripture say outdo one another in doing good? Like humanity wins. It's not no one wins in that kind of battle. That's the zero-sum game that Christianity makes you play. If you don't do it my way, then no one wins. No, you get better people out of it if that's what happens.
Yeah, and that it goes back to I don't remember what part of it, but the rising tide raises all ships. Like if we're challenging in a healthy way, if we're challenging each other to get better, and we do get better,
right,
and we improve, I'm sorry, Christians, this isn't a Lecrae thing. Sorry, Christians in general. It's not that you're losing or we're losing. No, if we're challenging each other and we're actually in a healthy way getting better, we're all winning. We're all winning. As long as we're improving and it's a healthy thing, we're all winning. Stop it.
To say, well, guess what, Kendrick? I am better than you. Ha! Now what are we battling about? We're not battling about who's the best. We're battling about who's the most self-righteous, who gave the most.
So it's even that what he just did there. Even if they're doing, if God's not involved and they're out giving each other to the community, they're out. If they're not attaching God to, let's say they're both helping the homeless community, or they're both helping either single moms or battered women or whatever. If they can do everything, give millions and millions of dollars, right? But if they're not doing it in the name of God, it's still just pride and ego. It's
self-righteous. Yeah,
self-righteous. Come on, man.
Money away to charity. And now we're just Pharisees. Some people may be saying, man, how do I know if I'm even battling for my identity? How do I know if I'm even in this place? And it's so funny. I was just talking to a young artist the other day, and he was like, yo, my next album got to kill. And I said, why? And he was like, just because I feel like it'll impact people. I said, no. Don't mask it in Christian lingo. Why does your album have to kill? Let's dig down deep. And he said, he said, well, I just want people's lives to be changed by this music. And I said, okay, so let's say 3 lives are changed. Are you content? He was like,
I just said it really quick because it's kind of shit bugs me. Don't Lecrae, any Christian listening to this now or later, don't tell another Christian to not use Christian lingo. Why I listen to you for 40 minutes use Christian lingo. Please don't do that. Be consistent in your message.
Like, I ain't gonna lie, that would be tough. I want as many as possible. I said, what if 3 is as many as possible? Well, that'd be tough. So how many is enough for you to find a sense of like, okay, I'm good? He was like, dang, I don't know. I said, because your why is not really defined. Your why is more about your own desire to find your worth and identity out of a project selling well, more than it is about people's lives being impacted. And I said, just be honest about it. At least come to God with honesty, saying, God, there's a part of me that doesn't feel like I'm valuable if this doesn't kill. Right? Like there's a part of me that feels like I'm not that valuable if I don't get more views on my YouTube episode. But I have to separate myself from that. And I know that if I'm looking at metrics or numerical things to show me who I am, I'm fighting for my identity and my worth. How many points did I get in the game? How much money did I make at this event? How many compliments did I get on my work? What I'm doing
only
now
reason why
is
I'm being so silent,
my value and my identity. And
only reason why I'm letting all this play is we've said so much that applies to everything that he's saying right now. Like if you haven't been watching, like if you just jumped in the live or whatever, or if you're, everything that we've said so far applies to everything that Lecrae is saying right here in terms of the danger or harm of trying to get your value from your ability or your skill or your accomplishments. We've addressed this. So
absolutely, I agree. That's why I'm ghost right now too, because it's like we've now to the point of nauseum. We've addressed this.
Yeah, and this is basically he's doing the altar call at this point. See, he's basically done here.
Yep, it's let me wait the times. Oh yeah, because now then he's in a call to be honest. He's gonna make call to be honest. So we can here I can pull this down. So well Brady, you started overall thoughts on this, because I know I have my own, but I want to hear you, because that's why I wanted you here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I appreciated the thoughtful way he tried to parse the battle as more than just a rap battle. I do think there was more going on than just rap. I do think in light of the age that we're in now, rap battles hit differently because it's a mudslinging match. I mean, it kind of always was. Think about what Jay did on Takeover, right? That was mudslinging for sure.
Yeah.
But there seems to be like no holds barred at this point. And so if you talk about having real hate, real animosity, but I don't think either Kendrick or Drake was on some, this is going to end up in the streets, as much as your business is going to end up in the streets, even if we don't take it to the streets, action wise. But anyway, I appreciated Cray trying to give here's what more might be going on here, but I don't and can't stand behind his spiritualizing of it, because I don't think it's that deep. I think humanity is complex and human beings need all kinds of help from other human beings. I don't think anybody's coming to save us. I don't think there's any value to come from outside this world into it. So, I mean, I was with him until he started spiritualizing it, and that's sort of what I expected. But yeah.
Yep, and along those lines, 100. And I had a gut feeling. Maybe Brady, maybe it was the Holy Spirit. I don't know. Maybe the Holy Spirit was guiding me and leading me. I'm kidding. But I had a feeling that we were going to have the same, especially without even talking to you about the certain moments. Like we never discussed it. Like the certain parts of it that stuck out. And like it was like almost at the same time. You're like, hold up, stop. I was hitting the pause, but so I appreciate that. And the I want to point this out as well. And Brady, you may have some ideas or thoughts on this. One thing. In my experience with the not just hip hop, but the Christian music industry at large, they love to attach themselves to what's happening in the secular music industry, and they, for whatever reason, feel the need, or there's a motivation or whatever, to try to replicate and duplicate. And if they can't do that, they try to find a way to weave it into a message, and then ultimately an altar call, which is what we're just seeing. And I find that again another detractor in the God conversation, because it's shouldn't you and your God be way ahead of humanity when it comes to art and creativity, thought? All that. Shouldn't you be more advanced, right, and further along, rather than trying to copy and duplicate or steal from and run with?
Well, you know what? I never got that impression, even when I was a believer. I think early on, I was clued into just how much Israel relied on, the literary styles around them, from the Psalms to the law to I didn't know about the ancient Near Eastern history in terms of Genesis, but I knew about the laws and the Psalms. I never thought there was some sort of like divine mandate to do it better or to be first. I just thought that's how, you're in the world, you're going to copy, you're a part of your culture. So
Okay, and that's fair. I just from my I guess my point of reference or my perspective is the church. Christians should not be copying from the world, right? Because God is divine. He should be giving you divine interventions and inspirations and all that. And why are you having to copy from men, Westside men and or women, whatever, but other humans that are not inspired by God? Why are you having to steal and borrow from that? Was always a very interesting thought.
That would be a convincing way for God to move, but I never thought that was what he was doing. Like, imagine if God did do that. Like, the Christians got an art, they got technology, they got that nobody else. That would be like, oh, maybe their God is real. But no, he's never done that. Right. It's always been the Christians copying what's around them.
Exactly. And here's I'll go make this a funny and ironic full circle. And I have one short, like 2-minute video that I want to share with Brady, because we're talking hip hop and Christianity, and the shit's hilarious. But I remember my brother was the one that turned me on, got me hip to Brady and their group. And I was coming off of like a good streak of a lot of just banging the streets, drugs out, like I was out there banging, right? And I had a moment and I was like, oh, I need Jesus again, right? And I was with my brother. I remember we were in his car and I was like, man, it was that very charismatic, fundamental, like, you can't listen to secular music. It's bad. It's bad. I'm like, dude, I'm struggling right now. Like, cause I love hip hop. I miss hip hop. And my brother was like, hey man, here's check this out. And he handed me Emergency Room. And
Human Emergency.
Human Emergency. Thank you. And I put it in. I was like, this is the closest that I've heard. This is the closest shit that I've heard that
it'll do.
To real hip hop. That's what I always said. To real hip hop.
Right.
All the other quote unquote Christian hip hop artists and groups that I heard, I was like, this, like, it sounds like somebody went into a kid's bedroom with Fisher Price toys and made beats. And when I heard you guys, I was like, finally, so it was it was funny how it was introduced, because I was like starving for it, and it was like I can't find any like any artist or any group that can even compare to what I was listening to, because again I was a Wu-Tang head, right? I was I need that in my life. And then he, and I was like, oh, finally, this is dope. Okay, I get down with it. This is dope. So that's the funny part of that, or the ironic, kind of full circle back to that. But I'm gonna play this real quick 2-minute video, and this is 100% comedy on our end. But this thing happens in real life. You can YouTube this and Google this. But I did the audio mashup and remix, and then shout out to my beautiful girlfriend Jenna. She did the visuals. She created the video of this, and I hope you all enjoy it as much as we have here. This is Brady. This is Rapping in Tongues.
Hi. Oh my gosh.
How's it? My name is Luco, and I'm not a rapper, by the way. Not a rapper, by the way. Tongues. Not a rapper, by the way. Tongues. trying to get the students ended. Trying to get the students ended. Thank you, friend,
You're gonna make me listen to 2 minutes of this? What in the world, yo? Why would you do this to me?
But bro, here, all I'm gonna say is, I won't make you listen to the whole 2 minutes. But God damn it, watching your face,
He's wow.
Bro, if you're just having a day, it's just one of those days where it's like I'm not in a good mood, I'm pissed off, or I'm down. Just go to YouTube and search rapping in tongues, bro. Your day will brighten in like 2 minutes.
You're not saying this is a thing. This is just one dude who did this, right? This is not like a thing that people are doing.
Oh no, it's a thing that people are doing.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Now I would like to see a tongues battle.
Oh God, that would be
fun. That would be a rap tongues battle. I would watch that.
Who has more direct access to God?
Yo, crazy.
Oh, no, it was fun making that.
This was good stuff, man. Hopefully people will check this out and get something from it. I think this was a great conversation that kind of just helped put some things in perspective for folks.
Hell yeah. And so again, Brady, thank you again, man. I always appreciate you and jumping on and having this conversation. Before we dip here again, one more time for the one time, Brady Goodwin, tell us about your YouTube channel. And Brady's got a book out there too. Brady's got a book out there.
I do. I got a book called Let There Be Gaslight. It's available on Amazon. It's about the reasons why I left the Christian faith. And my Icapod YouTube channel. See it up there on the screen. So come check us out. Give us a like, subscribe. We do live shows every Tuesday night. And we have Nurch, which is not church, every other Sunday morning, where we're right now going through the book of Romans. So come check us out.
Hell yep. And before we dip out, I told everybody this that I do. I have to keep it. I'll keep it Kevin Hart. I'll keep it short. I have a little bit of an issue because you had my Aunt Kathy, my real life aunt, on your channel before you had me on. So we have issues we need to talk about later.
True indeed. I thought the very same thing. So if you're willing, I definitely would love to have you come on, and Jenna too.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I should have you guys on separately, but I'd love to have you guys come on and give your testimonies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Make sure you tell Jen I said what's up.
Yep. She's backstage. So she's here. She said,
"Oh, hey, yo." That's what's up.
We would love to, but when Aunt Kathy told me that, I'm like, hold on, my real life Aunt Kathy was on with Brady, and I ain't got the invite yet. We're gonna have to talk about this.
It's definitely coming. So look, you just keep your eye out.
Absolutely. Thanks again, man, and for everybody that's been hanging out with us and vibing with us, thank you. Love y'all, appreciate y'all, and we will see you on the flippity flip.